and welcome to the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. I am Ben Hansen. Thank you for being here. We're glad you found us. If this is your first episode, please tweet at MinnMax Show or please leave a comment on YouTube and say first, parentheses, episode. We'd appreciate that. Anyways, I'm joined by Janet Garcia.
Yo, what's up?
Oh, you know, good podcasting. Kyle Hilliard.
Hello.
And that's
good
not
podcasting.
All. Also, Jeff Marchiafava.
I'm that terribly.
Who would have known that was coming? We have a jam-packed episode for everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about the Game Awards' Game of the Year nominees. We're going to talk about our backlogs for 2021. Then it's Guest-a-Palooza. We're going to have guests come on to talk about Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy. Finally, we'll talk about Grand Theft Auto on this podcast in a big bad way. Then we're going to talk about Halo Infinite with another special guest. The multiplayer is live, everybody. Run, it's live. Play it on your nearest device. And then we're going to be joined by Sarah Pozorski for some community questions in the back half of the show. Should be a wonderful time, so please get ready for that. But Janet, you know how we like to kick off a podcast these days?
I have a sense, but go on.
Well, here's the thought. It's normally with a segment we like to call Community Kickoff, but this is going to be the most natural community kickoff of all time because they're basically kicking us off into the first segment. Fenrir submits a question on Patreon and says, imagine, if you would, a scenario. You've been granted one... Okay, all right, slow down.
I thought that was more.
You'll have to be more specific.
You've been granted one gamer wish, trademark, he says, to have the time to play one title from 2021, your 2021 backlog you otherwise wouldn't have gotten to this year. What is that game and why? I think, so we're talking like hyperbolic time chamber level, I believe, Kyle, right? If you could just freeze time and play a 2021 backlog game, what would it be? What would you go to, Kyle, do you think?
Oh, I'm starting, huh?
You betcha.
I think I'm going Valheim.
What?
I feel like I missed something special there. Yeah.
Oh, that is fascinating. Okay. This is interesting. Yeah, we can just talk about our overall backlog for 2021.
You say it's your game of the year. You know,
think
and I
right now
haven't
it
even
is.
touched it. I've barely watched 5 minutes of gameplay footage of the game.
Here's the thing, Kyle. I love that game a lot. It is one of those games that I had such a good time with, namely because I was probably playing with best friend Ronnie and Grant Star of Hitman 3, and it was just like goofy, silly adventure times. And I know that other people love it as well. I think it's going to be a tough one to roll up the hill for Game of the Year, and especially you who doesn't like playing with other people or making eye contact with other people. The odds of you enjoying this game are very, very low.
Okay, well that's good information, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't discourage you from playing it. You should jump in and check it out.
Is there not much for someone playing by themselves, basically? I mean, is it just...
It'd be okay.
I
mean, how much fun did you have playing Minecraft by yourself?
Okay, yeah, yeah, well, Minecraft doesn't have goals, which is always my problem.
Right.
Valheim has goals, right?
Honestly, here's the thing. If you can, like, wrangle up your family and move to the Beverly Hills. No, if you could wrangle up your family and, like, get a good gaming session of Valheim with your daughter, I think that could be really fun. I could see her being more into it than you are, and I know that if your daughter enjoys a game, it's kind of like a subtle indoctrination.
Yes, it is, yeah. Is it violent? Is it scary?
Ooh.
Is it a lot of fighting?
It doesn't need to be. No, it's a little. She'll be fine. She's basically an adult at this point. Yeah, it's like you're like in the woods at night.
I'm not worried about like the content. I'm worried if she would like it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Kill animals and eat them.
You can.
Yeah,
like she can go play Dead Space if she wants, but I know she's not going to enjoy it because she just doesn't like that kind of stuff, you know?
I wouldn't say it's gory, no. And like, you can eventually tame animals, which seems like it'd be really up her alley too. Oh, so I can see it. All right, I like that. That's a good answer. Good answer. I
did it.
I don't know, Janet, do you have one in mind for like if you could pause time? It's like the time that's really holding you back?
Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. The context, like, do I have to roll credits to get out of the chamber? Is it like you're in the chamber if you roll credits, or is it just like you're in the chamber for as long as you want, whether you're finishing the game or like playing 10 minutes and being like, never mind, didn't need the chamber.
You can come out of the chamber early. Vegeta will scold you when you come out early, but you're welcome to leave whenever you want. I think is how it works.
Okay. Damn, man, this is so rough because a lot of the games, like, I hate, I've been really on it this year, more than I think any year in my life with keeping up with big releases. So I feel like I know even the games that I want to get to and spend more time with, I kind of have a sense of whether or not I'll like them. So it's like, what do I want to spend time? I think if I could go in the chamber for a game, it'd be Bravely Default 2, which is it's in my top 10 of the year. And I think one sadness I have is I don't think I'm going to finish that game because it is so long. And I kind of already know that like, oh yeah, it's really good. But I feel like if I beat it, one, it'd be awesome to be able to play more of it because I really enjoyed it. And two, I think I'd be able to more, better rank it within my top 10 because I'd have a more refined and like, expansive take on it other than like, yeah, it's really good. Like I'd like something more nuanced, but other than that, maybe Inscription, because I've liked that game a lot. And I feel like that is one that I just don't feel like I have more time to spend with. But the time I did spend, I really liked. And so that'd be another one maybe where it'd be between that and Bravely Default 2.
Yeah, what Inscription is a little longer than I thought. I think it's like 10, 15 hours, somewhere around there.
I'm not sure. And then it has like those rogue elements that I'm like, I feel like that could throw a wrench in like understanding where my progression is.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think, it looks like 11 hours averaging for Inscription there, which everybody's screaming game of the year. We gave it away, gave a bunch of codes away in the last episode of Trivia Tower. I think for me, oh, God, I really enjoyed what I played, but I look at the road ahead of me and it's like, I don't know if I can commit to this. It's Tales of Arise. I really liked it. I want to be a Tales defender. I want to make our hero, Kelsey Lewin, proud of me and this podcast overall by giving the game the props it deserves. But when I look at how long that's going to take, I don't know where I'm going to find that time realistically.
In the chamber.
In the hyperbolic time chamber, of course.
The chamber is just for JRPGs. Like, what JRPGs did you not play this year?
Yes, it should absolutely be renamed. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Jeff, does something stand out for you? Is it just Red Dead Redemption 2 or?
Well, are we counting? Good guess. Are we counting Darkest Dungeon 2? Or is that early access so we're not
I think that counts. I think that counts if you want to waste it on that.
Buy it, right? That's always kind of my sort of decider. It's like you can pay for it. So.
Yeah.
Then I guess Darkest Dungeon 2.
Have you played any of it?
No way I would ever have. No, I haven't. It's the little icon staring at me right here on the desktop. And
we were saving it for the chamber.
Bad.
So.
That's right. That's right. When the chamber becomes real. Yeah, we should just position. We have everybody watching us live at the Backstage Pass here. Thank you. They say we're being suspiciously quiet about kissing. That was the pre-show conversation. It was just a lot of kissing the camera. So if y'all enjoyed that, you people are really missing out if you're not watching this live. But we need their help in determining like what we should make time to go back to this year, because we are down to it. In my mind, every once in a while, I convince myself like there's still time to go back and play some stuff. But it's like, no. You get to choose maybe 1.5 games that you're going to get to play and get caught up on before Game of the Year. And I feel like that's if we're being militant about this stuff. So we need help trying to sift through what we should actually make time to play. Like Janet, you, I think maybe more than anybody on the show has been like really good about keeping up with the big releases. But like, what is up there for you that you're kind of on the fence about going back to?
I think oh god, there's a lot. Like, it's weird because there's some stuff that I have attached to other people. Like House of Ashes, I do plan to finish with my brother though, so I don't know when we're gonna have time for that. Forgotten City, I want to restart with my boyfriend. It's a single player game, but I feel like it'd be, a fun deduction story thing to do together. And it's like, I think it's like an 8 or 10 hour, maybe less experience, 6 if you're fast. I think the number one thing that I want to put time into is Psychonauts 2.
Yes.
Because I only played 2 to 4 hours, I think 2 hours of the game. I wasn't into it. I felt like, man, this is a game that feels old, even though it came out this year. But, spoilers for the rest of the show, it was in the Game of the Year list for Game Awards. But more so than that, because like that doesn't mean quite that much to me. But Barrett over at Kind of Funny loves that game, and he went ahead and played through all the chicory, sort of in part for me and other people that recommended it. And he's been like, please play Psychonauts 2. Just go a little bit far, get to the hospital or whatever. I don't know where he would actually get to. He's like, just get a little bit further, and then if you still don't like it, you can let it go. So I want to do that like out of respect for him and his taste, and maybe there is something here. Clearly people like it.
Yeah.
So maybe something is there.
I think that's right. I think it is a different kind of groove. Honestly, I wasn't that hot on it for the first couple hours either. It eventually got me, and I really enjoyed playing through it. Now looking back on it, I'm a little bit cooler because there is definitely that groundswell of love for Psychonauts 2 that I wish I was on board with. But Kyle, yeah, where's your recommendation level at for Psychonauts 2?
I mean, embarrassingly, I haven't finished it.
What?
It's been like, I know, because it has kind of like what Janet was talking about. It's a game that I am committed to playing with someone else, and that really limits how often we play it and when we play it. Like I don't think it's a spoiler to say I met the person who's really into bees. Like that's kind of where we left off.
You're getting there. That's pretty close.
Yeah, so we're far. But I mean, yeah, Janet, if you haven't even gotten to like the casino hospital thing, I think you do need to give it a little more time because that game shines with the way, just the sort of how imaginative it is and the story and everything. Like that's where that game is really great.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other stuff's great too, but that's the high point are those story moments and how when you enter a place and it really, you're like, I haven't seen anything like this in a video game. This is crazy.
Totally. Yeah. People in the Backstage Pass are screaming. First of all, Psychonauts 2 is definitely great. Killslayer is asking about Forgotten City, which is one that I started. I played like the first maybe hour and a half, and now that's on Game Pass, I have it. That is, especially because it's not that long, that is one that I definitely want to get through to give the time of day. If you don't remember, this was originally the Skyrim mod that's about a time loop, believe it or not, and you're in like a secret Roman city trying to, well, the premise is, we talked about it on the podcast, I think with JV Gwaltney when he was on, but the premise is it's a lost Roman city and the world ends if anybody sins. So you're trying to figure out who is going to sin and who's going to end the world. It's a really cool idea, but I need to go back to it definitely. And then Killslayer's demanding that we go back and play more Wildermyth, which is one that...
Wildermyth is also very good.
Yeah. How much have you been playing, Janet?
I only did that for like one session of I think I was there for like 4 hours though. Like I played quite a bit of it. I will say, I don't think I was very good at it. Like I think I missed, like something went wrong in my playthrough, but I still had a lot of fun with it. Like I just think it's really well constructed. And if you've liked, like any tacticsy thing, even if it's more like a chill, like for me, my tactics background is like Mario plus rabbits and Overland. Like I don't have I'm not heavy into the tactic stuff, but it has that same general mechanic, and I think it's really well done. I think the story's very fun, and I'm always here for a well-constructed game where I can like make characters, because then I get to like make my family and friends, and I think there's something really charming in that. It's a really fun game that I think I would play way more of if it was just like on my iPad. Like the fact that I have to sit at a computer, it always kind of kills it for me, especially when with a game that has as like simplistic button input as Wildermyth, where I'm like, we could just be dragging and dropping this on Apple Arcade, that's the kind of thing keeping me from doing more.
When it eventually goes to Switch, other consoles and stuff, gets off of PC only, I think it's going to have like another kind of renaissance. But it's in that camp for me where I really liked what I played of it. I respect it a lot more than I like playing it minute to minute. And so it's in that thing of like, God, it's a tough one to go to bat for when we're talking about the 210s, which are MinnMax's end of the year, game of the year awards. But yeah, Jeff, I'm like, do you feel accomplished enough in Wildermyth to bat for it?
No.
Yeah.
And that kind of breaks my heart, because I was also very smitten with it when I first started playing it. And it's just, it for me also is a game that I'm playing on PC, and that's just a hard thing for me to get to. Like I really, out of all the games that I've played this year, I really wish that one was on Switch, because I feel like I could just pick that up and, play a little bit at a time, and I would have actually made a lot more progress in it.
Well, a game that is on Switch, and Starkiller in the Backstage Pass is screaming at you, Jeffum. Play Metroid Dread, you dingus. Have you really not started that game yet?
No, but I'll tell you what, Hanson. I completely finished Unsighted, which was amazing. And it gave me that kind of Metroid Zelda-esque like mashup. What are you shaking your head at, Kyle?
Oh, what? No. You're fine. I thought you were talking about the game that you blink
before your eyes
and time moves forward.
Completely
before
different.
Your eyes. I was like, Zelda, Metroid.
It's Metroid enough for me.
That's not the. That's not.
Unsighted
you didn't
makes
hold your
a lot
eyes
more
open
sense.
long enough, Kyle. You would have gotten to that
sorry.
segment. Yeah.
Okay, so Unsighted. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but really, you were that hot on it?
Yeah, I feel bad because we talked about it. And I was like, yeah, it's lots of fun, and then I kept on playing it, and just it kept on snowballing for me, and got more and more fun and interesting. And I think out of all those Metroid-esque games, it did a really good job of making all the abilities that you get not just basically different colored key cards in order to open a door. Like even Super Metroid kind of fell in that, where it's like, oh, now you have rockets and they open pink doors, and now you have super bombs and they open green doors.
Right.
And in this one, it's like each one gives you a really good ability that will help with a bunch of different puzzles, but also just feels good to use and like kind of opens up combat in different ways and stuff. And so that one pulled me through the entire way.
Nice. Yeah. So Unsighted, if you don't remember, yeah, it's kind of pixelated look from Studio Pixelpunk, name of the studio. But it's on Steam and Switch there. So hang on, Jeff. I don't mean to keep belaboring the point. Are you really going to go?
I need to play Dread. I know I do.
Not I need to. The point of this podcast is to finally nail it down. Like, are you going to finish Dread before the 210s debate?
Well, I haven't started it.
Right.
Hanson. When you explained this to me,
dodging the question, I see.
It was pick 3 games that you haven't finished that you wanted to go back to. And I got 3 killer ones that are killing me that I haven't finished them.
Answer the question, Jeffem. Will you commit to finishing Metroid Dread before the 210s?
Maybe.
Oh!
Can we finish the rest of this conversation?
Maybe.
The thing is, I don't know which games are going to be the most important when we start talking about the 210s.
Okay. I think
I want to put my resources, what limited resources. Honestly, Metroid Dread sounds great because it is the only one of these that is on Switch.
Yeah.
And that gives me such a higher, possibility for actually finishing something.
Right. Okay, what else? What else are you debating then? What else you got?
Psychonauts 2 is on there, which seems to be on everyone's
We should just
list.
all play it at the same time.
Smart.
We should.
You know what I mean? Like a pact.
Yeah. And then Deathloop, which seems like is really high up there for a lot of people. That one's killing me.
Mm-hmm. I saw you like at an Instagram post where it was you at the startup screen for Deathloop. Have you started it on PC?
Yeah, I've played a couple hours of it, but that is again the problem of like, well, I have to go isolate myself in my room while my kid's banging on the door behind me.
That's a joyful life.
Yeah.
I think that is a huge one for me too. It's not my type of game. I enjoyed it more than I thought. I tried going back to it like a couple weeks ago because I'm like 3 hours in, something like that. And I tried going back to it a couple weeks ago and it was like just a slap in the face of like, I don't remember what I was doing. I don't feel like I'm equipped to keep rolling with this. But at the same time, like, I don't know if we can go into the Game of the Year debates without me having finished that game. So that might be one that I need to bite the bullet on and just like grin and bear it and blow past, get out of your genre comfort zone and just play it, you idiot. I imagine that's what people are screaming.
Janet, that's one of your favorite games this year, isn't it?
Yeah, that is my game of the year. You both have to finish it. Everyone should finish it. Yeah. It's also not that long. Like, you can do it. It's fine.
Okay.
And like, I find it interesting that you're like, oh, it's not my genre. Like, is it because of the shooting, Hanson? Is it the like loopy
immersive
vibes?
Sims? I don't really, for some reason, I don't have the patience for immersive Sims. Like, I have the patience for like, RTS games or video editing, but when it comes to immersive Sims, any gamer have to pick up a piece of paper and read it. And I know that like Deathloop,
you don't have to though.
I know, but Deathloop's like very much pushing that boundary of like this is a turbo
who says you
blitz.
have to read? Like, I honestly did not like. I think it's more fun if you like really dig into the lore because there is a lot of interesting lore there. But I didn't read most of that stuff.
Okay,
like I just let it. And what I like is that you don't have to because they put flavor text at the end that's like, here's the actual point of this long email. And I'm like, great.
Right.
Now I don't have to, because I'm not going to read this. So I think you can just, like, for me, like, I don't even think, I guess it is an immersive sim, but that was not the first thing that came to mind when I played it. I don't even have a strong understanding of what that subgenre even entails. I'm like, I'm just here and I'm kicking people and I'm shooting things. And you can hit a candy machine. All this candy falls out. Like, go finish it. It's great.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're right. What am I going to do? It's like I'll be biting my tongue and hemming and hawing throughout the 210s. I need to finish. You're absolutely. I should stream it too to like help people.
It's very fun. It's a really fun game. Like I think you'll like it more. It's hard for me to comment on like what I felt the first few hours. I think I was into it immediately.
Right.
But I played it all like in like a couple quick sessions.
Okay.
Like I beamed through most of that game in like a day or two.
Nice. The other one that's really left hanging for me is Resident Evil Village, where I am. Yeah. Okay. How far did you get, Jeff?
Past the creepy dolls.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I'm like in that area as well. Probably 50%, 60% of the way through is roughly where I'm at, which seems stupid to stop, but also it's a game I went back to and I have to pop Dramamine because I get too nauseated while playing it. So it's one of those where it's like, oh, it's just a couple weird hurdles there.
Is it like the screen shake? You think you can probably
maybe a little bit. It's also
settings.
Field of View, and I know that there was a mod to help out with the Field of View in Resident Evil Village and stuff, but that's one that I don't know if it's even if I finished it. Like I enjoyed what I played, but I don't know if it would crack my top 10 at this point. And so I don't know if the second half would really shift that, but maybe. That's I think in my maybe pile.
I think that's my number 2 this year for sure.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Village is great, yeah.
Wow. What's on your pile, Kyle? Outside of Psychonauts.
My pile, Kyle?
Yeah.
Valheim. Yep. I actually went for games I haven't even like touched at all. Because I have a lot that I've dabbled with. And Chicory was one for me. I haven't. I downloaded it. I bought it, downloaded it, have not even started it. And it feels like a big oversight because it's very Zelda-y, right?
It gets there. Like I think if you start it, I don't know if you started it yet, but it doesn't really feel like a Zelda-like. But the more you go into it, it's like, okay, this is feeling more and more like Link to the Past. I think that's a really important one to cross off the list. And it's not unreasonably long or anything, Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I like Knockout City was another one that I was kind of curious about, but not one that I see like would even. I'm just not a multiplayer guy, so I don't really see it being this like huge thing for me, even if I enjoy it. And then the other one I wrote down, which we were talking about in Slack a little bit, is Call of Duty Vanguard. I feel like
what now?
I don't know anything about that game. I feel like it came out and I didn't hear anything about it. I don't know if it's just being overshadowed by Halo or what, but it like. I think it's World War II. Like that's how much I feel like I've learned about the Call of Duty this year.
Isn't it wild? Yeah, we're talking about it. It's like I don't know if it's a combo of just not an exciting campaign setting. If people are a little bummed out about the return to World War II again in recent years, and then I think on top of that, in the press, I think there's this general vibe of like Activision Blizzard stuff. If we don't,
and they deserve that, absolutely,
right? But I think there's this overall feeling of like. I think
also it comes down to like if I want to play Call of Duty, I'm probably just going to boot up Warzone and have a great time, and
Yeah, and like Jeff, I know you like Call of Duty campaigns as well, and like I was looking into reviews of Vanguard, and people are like, the campaign's meh. I'm like, well, at that point, I just don't think I'll play it.
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea it was out yet until like yesterday when you started mentioning it. And I looked it up and it was like, oh, it's been out since the 5th?
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Other one on my pile is Death's Door. I'm 2 or 3 hours in or so, and I know that's not another long one that I should probably get back to. I don't know.
Is it on Switch yet?
I know.
I think it only got called to PlayStation, right? Was it? Oh no, yeah, PlayStation and Switch at the same time. Yeah. Oh gosh, it might be.
Let's see. November 23rd. Ooh, that's probably a good reason to go back to it. That does seem pretty good. Yeah. Other biggies? Anybody else has on their pile that they need a yay or nay vote on?
Yeah, I haven't even started it, but should I start Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes. Oh
yeah, I have that one in my pile.
That's a big one for this year.
It's. I finished it this last weekend.
I think it'll make my top 10. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, it is. I finished it this weekend, and it is like top of my heap for top 10. Like, absolutely loved it.
And that's not super long, right?
My clock said 20 hours, but I left it on. So hang on. I think it's probably like 16-ish hours. And here's the thing. It's very easy, Jiffum. Like it is a breezy session type of game. Kyle, did you finish it yet?
No, I think I'm like 60 to 70% through.
Okay.
Yeah, main story 17 hours according to How Long to Beat.
Okay.
So it's I feel like, like the 10-hour mark is where you can be like, it's not that long. But once you get into like beyond 13 or 14, then you're kind of like, well, you got to make some decisions.
Right. Kyle, I'd love
I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's the one when I have time to like focus and play a game. It's the one that I'm playing right now because the writing is so good and I want to see where the story goes.
Yes, it really is some of my favorite writing in years in the game industry, and there is a mountain of it. There is so much dialogue in that game, and the fact that the characters, at least for me, aren't grating is a miracle. So I would recommend that, Jeff, even though you're playing on PS4. I'm also just curious like how the PS4 version of it runs, but please let me know. Okay. Anybody else have any big lingering ones?
Yeah.
No, please, yes.
More of a question about It Takes Two.
Yes.
That's a big one too?
That is a big one. Ooh, Janet, I'm interested in that face.
I really like it.
Personal.
Yes, I haven't finished it yet. It's longer than you think.
But I think it's funny because I think if you don't finish it, you might it's weird to say because I think a lot of people that push for it did finish it. I'm not saying that like y'all just didn't finish the game and you're hyping it up, but I feel like having finished it, I actually ended in a much colder place than when I like first started playing. Like I don't know, it's something about it. Like it's so long. I don't think the plot is very amazing. Like people kind of act like it's like, oh, it's such a revolutionary story. I'm like, is it? I don't know. It is fun to play though. I mean, like the moment to moment stuff, there are cool highs, but I feel like it's a bit bloated. So but it is a big conversation piece. So I don't know. I didn't like it as much as other people, but
sure. Yeah. I think it's the best platforming this year. It's wildly creative. Yeah, sure. You can be not completely sold on the story. Here's the wrinkle for you, Jeffem. Longer than you think, also more challenging than you think. Like if you're looking for like a good game to play with your wife, I don't know how many 3D platformers she's played, but it's not the most family friendly in that sense.
They don't have like the Nintendo-esque, like now you're in a bubble and I'll just float you through.
No, it is very much you need to do this right now.
Oh, it's like now I'm waiting for you to figure out what you need to do because I'm stuck behind this wall.
Yes, it's exactly that.
I'm just going to do this for you. It's now a single player game. Like that. Okay. Though it is nominated for Best Family Game, right?
That's right.
What kind of a pro gamer family do these, like, I don't know. I got feelings. Yes,
yeah, Kyle does have it.
I played it with my daughter. That's how I played it. We beat it together.
Like,
so
it's not that, I feel like there should be a rule. And, I was like involved with the submitting and figuring out like, oh, what's kind of funny to submit to the Game Awards. But I'm like, you know what? I think that only parents that are actually out here playing with kids, only y'all should be able to vote. Like, you don't need what do I know about the best family game? Like, I know what I maybe did as a kid, but it doesn't mean it was a family game. Like, I didn't go into gaming looking for family games. I was just like, I was playing the games, and like sometimes you could play with other people. I don't know. It's a weird category.
It is a weird one. Yeah. So Keeley, for the Game Awards coming up in early December, they announced all the categories here for Best Family. It Takes Two, Mario Party Superstars, new Pokemon Snap, which came out this year, everybody. Actually, I need to go back and play that more. Super Mario 3D World.
Oh, yeah, let me. Actually, I should put that on my list too, I guess.
Absolutely.
You need to go back.
Yes, Janet, we need to go back. And WarioWare,
go back.
Get it together. The Game of the Year nominees, the big one that everyone's talking about here for the Game Awards, which, by the way, we'll be doing a reaction stream to. I really love watching these things. It's coming up Thursday, December 9th, just as a heads up. Game of the Year nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two.
Good.
Jeff, I'm interesting. This next game, Metroid Dread, they have listed. That's a bold move. Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. What a funky batch, huh? I love it. I love this group. Obviously, the internet was screaming in a unanimous voice something that I wasn't expecting it to be this loud, but Kyle, what were they screaming about, man?
Well, they should have been screaming about Returnal.
They were screaming about Returnal. That seems like the number one.
I think what you're asking me is Forza, right?
Oh, no, actually, I was totally expecting Returnal. Yeah, like, people were screaming over Returnal.
But I heard more people upset that Forza wasn't on that list. But I did also hear people that were upset that Returnal was on the list, which I'm one of those people. Returnal totally belongs on that list. It's a travesty that it's not there.
The amount of outcry that I heard over that, it was like, well, I know people like Returnal, but I did not know that they would be offended if it wasn't nominated for Game of the Year level liked Returnal. I thought it was just a bunch of yahoos like you, Kyle. But now it's like, God, do I need to go back to that one as well? Like, I enjoyed my time with it, but I definitely could have gotten a lot farther. But yeah,
not to spoil our end of year discussions, but I don't see anything unseating it for my game of the year.
Really?
Personally. Yeah.
Wow.
The only reason I'm not playing it is because I don't feel like I can, / I don't want to get good enough to do it. Like, I'm sure I could do it, but I'm like, it's because you have to keep repeating stuff. If it wasn't a roguelike, I would play it, but I'm like, not me going up to this hard boss and then having to run it all back. I'm not doing that.
Right.
Y'all can keep it. Like, I'm just not going to know if it's good, how good it is. But yeah, that was my biggest shock as well. But my biggest excitement from hearing who got nominated for Game of the Year is that I predicted 5 of the 6. So boom.
Ooh, pretty good.
Nice.
Nicely done. Yeah,
there's Returnal on your predictions.
Yeah, I was on I figured Returnal. Yeah. Psychonauts 2 surprised me because when I was thinking of what might swap, I had assumed it might be Forza or something like that, swapping out with like Resident Evil. Like, I was not expecting Psychonauts 2 to be in there. Yeah,
and so the cutoff date apparently was November 19th. So some people were being like, oh, maybe Forza's not in because of that. But it's like, no, it came out before then. So it was just, it's tough to give a racing game even nomination for Game of the Year. Maybe the most hotly debated category, I should say, is Best Indie, which is Loop Hero, which is also a game I need to go back to because I really, really loved it at the top of the year. Inscription, which, by the way, Killslayer, watching us live backstage pass, says that he's wondering if anybody's finished Inscription here yet because it's the game of the year for him and it's not even remotely close. Yeah, I don't know if Leo's finished it yet, but I know, him and Janet were enjoying what they played. So Inscription, Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, Death's Door, and 12 Minutes. And the fact that 12 Minutes is on there, a game that was divisive at best compared to Chicory, that seems mind-boggling. And
yeah, that's weird.
It's so weird. And I know that everyone can get up in arms about this, and it's like, and blame Keighley. It's like, it's not Keighley here. This is 100 different media outlets were voting on Best Indie, and Chicory didn't make the cut, which is a reminder, people please need to go out and play Chicory. Good God.
It is funny that like the call does come from inside the house. And I guess I'm like, you could argue that I fall into this category too, because I'm like, for the last 2 years, I've been part of different teams that have submitted things, right? It's still not my choice, but it's like part of the process. But everyone's looking around like, oh, how'd this happen? I'm like, I don't know. Look at your man, because I don't know what's going on here, but I know what the stuff I put up there. And I know I did not put 12 minutes, but I was really frustrated and a little disappointed to see the indies as well. I mean, it is difficult. Like, everyone that is in the industry presumably is doing this full time, and it's very hard to get to everything, especially when, admittedly, coverage wise, like, not a lot of people are clicking on Chicory like that. So totally. I can get it to a degree, but the indie category is giving. These are the only indie games I've heard of this year, because I've played so many other indie games that were not these ones that, I just feel like it's rough. It's a rough go.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to be clear, we didn't nominate for the Game Awards. MinnMax wasn't included. Maybe next year, Keighley, you got our number. But yeah, Janet was kind of funny.
Then I get double infiltration treatment.
Interesting.
And then I just need to get 10 pixels in there.
Yes.
And then I'm there like 30 times, just like in different disguises.
Diabolical. So that one was a bit of a mess for people screaming about it. But here's hoping something good wins. The other big snub, I guess, for a lot of nominations was Hitman 3. People upset that, like, are you forgetting that game came out in January? That was good, damn it. So that didn't, I think it's nominated for like best VR experience, which even Leo, number one Hitman fan and number one VR fan, was like, not great. So
that is one actually that I should have probably brought up earlier, was Hitman 3. I played the first level I didn't play Hitman 1 or 2, so that was my first like experience, was playing the first level of Hitman 3.
Oh, right on.
I should probably give it more time.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it was really fun. We should finish it.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Other snub I see here is best art direction. I think Guardians of the Galaxy should have gone in there. Like, I don't know, Kyle, if you're with me, but we talked about it in our discussion of the podcast, but like the environmental design in Guardians of the Galaxy, some of my favorite in years as well. Like, the environments are so great looking and so creative and weird.
Yeah, it's tough. It's maybe people looked at it and was like, well, it's based on an established thing, which already has established art direction. But like, you play the game, and I mean, it is really some of the most compelling, like, just looking off into the distance of the year of just like, wow, that looks incredible.
That's a good category for the MinnMax Awards, by the way.
Anyways, best looking off into the distance.
But yeah, look forward to our reaction stream for the Game Awards coming up Thursday, December 9th. Should be a hoot and a holler. And they said they have 7,000 games to reveal or whatever. Hey, we should bring in our first guest. Do you all want to be joined by a guest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I can hear them coming in now. Is that you?
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Jeff Cork. Nothing to apologize for us here, buddy. Jeff Cork, everybody.
Hey, I was apologizing to the cat because I may have kind of bonked him in the face there.
As the magic happened.
I'm not much of a clapper, so it's a new experience.
That's right. Jeff Cork, obviously co-host of Better Quest. You know him, you love him from the upcoming Thanksgiving Day segment, 100 Reasons to be Thankful for Gaming in 2021. How are your jokes coming along, by the way, Jeff? I'm in Jeff Cork.
Oh, I'm having a hard time cutting them.
Is that right?
4,000.
Yeah, how do you throw away a ruby? You know what I mean? It's
exactly
too much. Yeah.
I'll admit I've been liberally running them through an online thesaurus.
Okay.
It may actually be 2 jokes, but
okay, great. Well, this will be wonderful. Hey, Jeff, I wanted to have you on for this episode because you're one of those, I'd call you a super fan, but a reasonable super fan of the Grand Theft Auto series. Is that fair?
I have enjoyed my time with the series overall.
Okay. And there we go, everybody.
Muted enthusiasm.
That's the kind of feedback that makes it the best-selling entertainment property of all time across all galaxies.
That's right. That's right. Has everybody here been playing the remastered trilogy? Have we got a rare occurrence where all 5 of us are all in on the same game?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I've dabbled in all of them.
Fantastic. Here's my journey. And Janet, please let me know if I'm not online enough or exactly what you think about the situation. But
I got you.
Okay.
This is my big contribution, being on Twitter a lot.
Yeah, well, you're an intelligent person. And my thing is, I streamed playing that game. You can watch the archive of the stream on our YouTube channel or on Twitch. And it was me starting up Vice City. And it was like, that character looks a little bit wonky. But all right, Vice City, everybody. There's some jank, but those old games are pretty jank. All right, great. And then I just dipped my toe in the water of the internet and it was on fire with rage about this remastered trilogy. Am I nuts? Should I think of these games as more sacred than they are? Like, is this that much of a butcher? Or correct me, please. Am I being uptight enough about this remastered trilogy?
I think it's just always a personal choice. I mean, I definitely think that we should at least acknowledge that this could have been better, and it just wasn't. And, maybe that was a choice that was made, and maybe that's a choice that should never be made, right? I think that's fair to put out there, and I think this does kind of put a damper on the idea of Rockstar doing or being involved with more remasters, because we now know that it's not really going to be much of a lift, because remaster, not a remake, which is kind of implied anyway, but I think we've come to expect that, sure, the old games are janky, but shouldn't the remaster kind of fix some of that? Isn't that kind of the point? But for me, I'm right there with you, where I'm like, look, could this be better? Yes. Should it be better? Maybe also yes.
Yes.
But man, I'm driving the ambulance. I'm getting in the taxi cab, picking up some fares. Is there a car that went straight to the sidewalk? Yes. Is that what I remember happening as a kid? Yeah. And
totally.
I'm here for it, man. Crank up the radio. Will this mission bug out on me? Maybe. Will I get mad and rage quit? Maybe. But you know what? It's still some of the most fun I've had this year.
Really?
And maybe that makes me part of the problem. And I don't even care because I'm having a good time. But yes, I still, as a critic and, consumer, I think it's good to voice that. But yes, I am part of the problem. If I didn't get a code, I would have bought this and I would have had a good time.
Yeah. It's like, if there was a share button back on the PS2, we would have a lot of stupid clips of the helicopter absolutely losing its mind as well. And again, I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't have polished things up. And yes, this is a remaster, but it's not going to revolutionize things. But everybody jumping into the Twitch stream, that was the first reaction, is like, this looks like crap. This looks like crap. Why does this look better? Like, everybody wanted it to look like a new game, which I guess I was just going in for the pure nostalgia of the whole thing. But Corky, as a seasoned gaming industry pro, what was your experience with this thing so far?
I like that you're being positive about it. And I have had similarly enjoyable experiences, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it says it's the definitive edition,
right?
And it's missing a bunch of songs that I like to listen to, which is not to say that it doesn't have an amazing track list. I think Vice City in particular has a lot of great stuff on it.
Yeah.
I think San Andreas does as well. But to take things out for licensing reasons and then to have the audacity to say it's the definitive edition, it's a very bold maneuver, which, whatever. I think the biggest problem I watched some Digital Foundry videos where they really got into the weeds on it.
Okay.
It's interesting because this game was originally created with renderware, and then these remake or remasters were switched over to Unreal. So they had to do some weird wizardry to get everything going. So characters kind of had this weird plastic sheen. They look somewhat monstrous at times.
Yes.
CJ's arms. I don't know if you guys have played much of San Andreas.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's like the first thing you see is he gets handcuffed, and it's just like, oh no, make this stop. This is uncomfortable, not for the corrupt police situation, but just like it's awful to look at.
Yeah, it's
just go buy a jacket. What are you doing? You just go buy a jacket and you're fine.
Yeah, you got to hide everything. There's such weird little details that, like, looking at the Reddit that people have pulled out about just like the burger on top of the restaurant, it doesn't spin in the remaster, whereas the original is slowly rotated. Like, just those little things are adding up to the point that it drives everybody bonkers. But definitely, like, the faces are the big thing. It seemed like they spent a decent amount of time to make the main characters' faces look as best as they can. And then a lot of the other characters, they do look like Mii's just running around, and it is jarring. But, like, if it would have been the PS2 game up and running, we would have been laughing maybe nearly as much just about how janky everybody looks.
Yeah, I think one of the things that stood out to me as well was the frame rate, even on a PS5, is not great. And that Digital Foundry video that I watched had a recommendation that I did try, and it's disappointing, but it does work, is to delete the PlayStation 5 version, install the PlayStation 4 version, because when you get it on current gen, and then run it in performance mode. At least there you'll get a consistent 60 frames per second.
What?
Whereas if you do the performance mode on the PlayStation 5 version, it kind of does 60, but then it just it's kind of all over the place.
Woof.
Even performance mode on the PlayStation 4 version, playing it on the PlayStation 5 is fairly miserable experience as well. It's just like, this is a really powerful console, and I paid a lot of money for it, and it can't run Grand Theft Auto 3 at 60 frames per second.
Yeah, Mike Drucker, dear friend of the show, tweeted, "It's pretty funny that Grand Theft okay, take two for Mike. It's pretty funny that Grand Theft Auto 5 ran better on a PlayStation 3 than Grand Theft Auto 3 runs on a PlayStation 5. It's like, hey man, I get it. I've been playing on poetry. I've been playing on Switch, and it is pretty rough. It's a miracle if it's hitting 30 on that thing.
Also, that's why I was like, and again, I don't think we should give it a pass for this reason, but when they said GTA coming to Switch, I was like, I'm going the other direction. Right. The Switch just cannot, and I love the Switch, but it cannot do anything. It doesn't even, looking at I was looking at getting the Spyro collection reignited, and looking at a screenshot on the Switch versus PS4, come on, man. Like, what's going on here? Like, it's just...
We are, I don't think it's an unreasonable expectation. Like, I was excited to have it on Switch. These are PlayStation 2 games we're talking about. We're talking about like 3 or 4 generations ago, but I mean,
but
the evidence is there. I'm playing
conversation where it's like there's so many times where Switch gets, we get a game on Switch from 1 to 2 generations ago, and we have to, how does it run? And the answer is always like, oh, well, I mean, like, look, do you want a handheld or not? And I'm like, okay, answer the question. And so I mean, that doesn't shock me as much, but
no, you're right. It's like,
my answer here, by the way, is yes, I do want it handheld, and like I've really been enjoying it. Like on that sort of on handheld, I've been having a great time. Like going back to 3, if I were to go back and play 3 on PS2 now, because I think if I remember correctly, the only way to shoot was to lock onto your enemy, right? You did not have any camera control on the right control stick, I don't think. So to have like modernized controls to a certain degree, it actually gives me confidence that maybe I could finish this thing for the first time.
Yeah. And you're playing mainly Vice City?
I'm playing all of them.
Really?
3 and Vice City I've been playing on Switch, and then San Andreas, because it's on Game Pass, I've been playing on Xbox. I've probably put like an hour or 2 into each. It's such a strange thing because, when you think with that era of games, like there's always the cry for remakes, but these games I've never wanted them to be remade because every iteration of Grand Theft Auto, like 4, is kind of a remake in 3 at least technically. Like it's not the same story, it's not the same characters, but you're revisiting Liberty City on a new platform, and then 5 kind of feels that way for San Andreas. So like I've never really wanted those games remade, so I'm kind of comfortable with them feeling closer to the original. Like I'm visually, like I'm okay with that because if I want to go explore the newest version of San Andreas, I'll go play 5, which I've been tempted to do. It's gotten me in the GTA mood for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to have less interest.
I'll add to that I'm playing the Switch version as well, and I wasn't expecting huge leaps and bounds for it to be much different, but I have been surprised that even going back to 3, that the game is still really playable. Like I've been having more
strange
fun.
Tone.
I mean because some games you go back to and it's like, oh, this is ass. I'm just not having fun, and I'm not going to finish it, and I don't want to play it anymore.
Yeah.
And there have been parts in GTA 3 where it's like when you just die on a mission, and it's like, okay, I got to do that whole thing again for some dumb reason. I would have appreciated some checkpoints during missions and stuff, but otherwise, like, it holds up a lot more than I thought it was. And I found myself like, I remember this mission, and I remember that mission, and I remember this place, and it's fun to go back to in that sense.
Yeah, it has been a nice nostalgic blast. I've jumped through all the games a little bit, and like I definitely played San Andreas the most, and just starting that game again and be like, oh, that's right. I forgot how much time I spent on my bike in this game. Just those little details, like, oh, that's right, Grove Street. Great. Also, I
maxed out that bike so fast when I originally played it. I was like doing wheelies over oncoming traffic and stuff. I love that.
It's so fun. Here's the weirdest thing. The weirdest thing about these whole remasters. Cork, do you know the name of the developer who did the remasters?
I looked it up this morning and I can't remember now.
Okay, good. Grove Street Games.
Yeah,
Grove. So it's like. So how does that work? I went back and looked into the history. They're originally called War Drum Studios. They changed the name of their studio to Grove Street Games in like 2019. And Grove Street is obviously the kind of home base in San Andreas. It's a huge part of the plot is Grove Street. So like, did they get this contract and then change their name? Because according to them, they named themselves after the street that the studio is on in Florida, which is Grove Street. It's really quite a conundrum is what's going on with these folks. Yeah, I was thinking about it, and just like obviously the uproar is huge. The user ratings are in the toilet, and not taking that away from anybody. You're allowed to be upset and all that stuff. But I was just thinking about like, I wonder if part of this is this like the best-selling game that's ever been remastered or remade in any way, and so everybody will have an opinion because it turns out like 30 million people played San Andreas and really enjoyed it. It's like, obviously if you count like All-Stars for Super Mario or something, but like outside of that, it has to be the biggest, right? So everyone's gonna have an opinion on it.
Yes, but I mean, the thing about it though is like you can put screenshot, like glass doesn't shatter in the San Andreas remaster. Like when you shoot a windshield, it just disappears. When the original on the PS2, the glass would shatter.
Oh, really?
I mean, you put stuff like that side by side,
right?
And it's like, it doesn't matter what your history with the game is. You're gonna look at that and be like, wait a second, yeah, that's dumb.
This just sucks.
Happen? Yeah, I think that's really, like the big sticking point for a lot of people, where it's like because there's such a big and broad fan base that has spent a lot of time with these, and especially I think with them pulling the older versions, people again with that like comment of like this being the definitive edition. There's so much of like looking, and posting screenshots of like, oh, this is the donut place. And notice how now that they like made it all smooth, like the bolt is now like a different shape, or this sign has a typographical error. You can tell that they probably just ran software to kind of like repolish this. And in that, like it got a little bit botched. So it's a lot of people nitpicking at that, which I think is a fair and valid nitpick, because the whole point of GTA is that it's this really cool open world where you might, walk around and naturally actually stare at all those things and want to read all the signs. So I'm not like saying that that's an unnecessary, analysis, but I think it's become that thing where because it's a little bit negative to start, you start to see all the negatives. Like, it's easy to start digging into that, and there's so much data there and so many people doing that work that I think that's where a lot of like the ire has come from. But for me, you know, I have to be honest in my play style where like I'm not staring at the sign and thinking of, let me Google what it looked like before, and I don't have a memory of what it looked like before either, even though I did play these games. So for me, like, I don't end up caring when I'm playing it. That doesn't mean that it's not valid to criticize or to care or to notice. Right. But for me, I'd be lying if I told you that I was noticing those things, because I'm just not.
Yeah, sure.
I think for me, one of the things that stood out is just like how familiar I was with like Vice City and the layout, and San Andreas, which is like, for some reason, GTA 3, as much time as I spent there, it just kind of washed over me. It just didn't have a personality in the same way as those later games did. But like those other ones, I'm like, oh, I distinctly remember this turn, and then if I go here, there's going to be this and that, and like for the most part, I've been spot on. I think the thing that's causing a lot of the controversy is just the fact that Rockstar is like notorious for their attention to detail and level of polish. And we're seeing kind of like their baby pictures to begin with, right? But like, it just feels like a photocopy of a bad copy of those baby pictures, you know?
Totally. I keep thinking about, there's probably not a studio that exists on Earth that likes being mocked and laughed at on the internet less than Rockstar. And imagine everybody in there is just like, what? You're attacking Rockstar?
Yeah, and I had the same reaction when I saw that it was Grove Street Games, because when I started playing, it was like, you know, like this is not up to Rockstar's standards. And you can tell that it's a third party, but then I was like, but is this like a spin-off of Rockstar?
It's confusing.
Because they named it that way.
I'm so glad you saw that too, Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, it still feels like, I don't know what, you know, Rockstar's involvement was or how into the weeds they got. I mean, usually they get very into the weeds with stuff before it gets released, and it that definitely felt off to me as well, in terms of not just being a little disappointed with some of the stuff that's come up, but also just being like, this is not what Rockstar, you know, the Rockstar I know would have done or released in this shit.
Yeah. It's interesting on like social media. The most they've done to acknowledge any problems is the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, we had to take the PC version down because we inexplicably had those tracks that were missing. They're still in there if you root around the files. Commentary like from developers, like internal notes, that's in there. Hot coffee.
How is that possible? If you don't remember, this was the big talker.
That's the true authentic experience, though.
Okay, just for a history lesson. I mean, this was the internet. It felt like for a full year, every news story back in 2004, 2005 was this hot coffee mod. Was originally in there because in the original code for San Andreas, there was a sex mini game that was left in the code, and then they eventually had to pull it from stores because it was in there, and then it was AO rated, and it came back. It was a whole debacle. So like the most sensitive thing ever in Rockstar's history, the fact that slips into the code for this re-release is insane.
Yeah.
It is just a bizarre experience overall. BeatenDownBrian in the chat here watching us live. He says, I think some of the frustration comes down to the resources Rockstar has and what could have been put into this but wasn't. You look at how many games and how many studios are remaking their old games. The fact that they are printing money over there at Take-Two and with Rockstar and GTA Online, it's like, this is the best we can do for what really elevated Grand Theft Auto to the level it's at today. It's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, these are like culturally significant games.
Right.
In many ways, like love them or loathe them or don't have an opinion. Like it's hard to argue that these games aren't foundational to like many aspects of gaming today. So for them to be kind of treated with like fan remakes that Rockstar shut down looks like that was handled with more love and passion. Which is not to say that anyone was like just didn't care or was checked out while working on this. I'm sure that the people at Grove Street Games like put a lot of blood and sweat and tears into this, but ultimately like just the task of like, 3 absolutely enormous games let's just remaster all of them and release them simultaneously. I don't envy anyone who had to work on it, but like you say, Rockstar has the money to kind of make it better.
They could have put it out. It needed a lot more time, and they
just push it.
They could afford to give it more time. So.
Yeah, in the actual games themselves, I've had this weird experience of Cork. I remember one time, forget if it was in the Thanksgiving segment or what, but you had said something that really stuck with me, which you're very good at, by the way, Cork, is one sentence that'll stick with everybody forever. But you said, "Oh, I love Telltale Games. They put on the best puppet shows." And I've been thinking about it a lot playing this because, like, back in the day, like GTA 3 in particular, it was the coolest thing I could possibly imagine. I mean, it helped that I was like 13 when it came out or whatever, but like watching these now, like the voice acting is, some of it's cool, some of the celebrities and stuff are cool throughout there, but then just like the animations, it is just like crime puppet show. It is embarrassing.
It really is. I was thinking about that today.
At least they have fingers now.
Right.
It's not like the big mitten paws, but like Cork said, the comment about it being foundational, I think that's what I have just enjoyed so much going back to it. And I guess that does make me more forgiving about the gameplay and, whatever other qualms I have. But, and I put probably like half a dozen hours into GTA 3 first, and then I went to Vice City and did the same thing, and then I went to San Andreas. And it's been really fun and in a weird way sentimental to kind of see the jumps from one game to the next and be like, oh yeah, they added this and then they added that, and now you have the gym that you can go to, and just kind of the way that the system evolved over those 3 games and how much that has affected all of open world gaming since has been really fun to go back and kind of re-experience that.
And just the leap from San Andreas to GTA 4 is it's shocking.
Even just in the single generation, like what you're talking about, Jeff, from the leap from 3 to San Andreas is just staggering. It's like, I can't believe they got from this to that in one console generation.
It's 3 years. I mean, that's the crazy thing is Vice City, they cranked out in a year. Like, it is unbelievable. It was 2001, 2002, then 2004 for these games. It's like, how the hell is that possible? I think it was 2004, maybe 2005. It's just mind-boggling, and like especially just playing the intros of the stories. Like I think the pacing is so much better, the story is so much better. Obviously, from 3 going to Vice City, and then Vice City to San Andreas, I feel like it's night and day. And maybe this is just my nostalgia speaking, but like the intro to San Andreas, I feel like is so good compared to Vice City, where it's like we're really hitting the ground running, but I'm a little bit confused about what I should be caring about here. But
for if you haven't seen Carlito's Ware's Scarface. Trust us. Here's the story again.
It is funny now to like play it. I played Vice City in particular, and that opening cutscene, and like what happens is like you lose the money and the drugs, and then you're trying to recover that. Like that totally went over my head when I played it back in the day, and so like now I'm having this moment where I'm like, oh, so that's what Tommy was. That's why I was doing these missions to recover that stuff. Okay, I got it now.
This is a safe spot to say embarrassing stuff, right?
Absolutely.
I was ashamed of my childhood self when I picked up like a prostitute in this version, because I remember thinking like, this is kind of hot, like this is kind of sexy back in the day, and I played it now and it's just like moving the camera, it's just like 2 people sitting in a car and their car making squeaky sounds for 38 seconds.
If we're talking about embarrassing things, I have a more modern version of that where I forgot about like the whole like prostitute like element. The only memory I had of like prostitutes in GTA was like running over them so I could get easy cash, which I still did here.
Yes.
That's just what she did. And it's funny because I was like doing that, and my brother's fiance was like, do you have to do that in the game now? I'm like, oh no, you don't have to do, like, I choose to do this janky, horrible thing. I'm like, oh, it's totally optional. Like, no one's making me, this is not mainlining, this is just me in my car. But then I like was, my boyfriend was playing like things GTA doesn't tell you for like the remasters.
Yeah.
I was overhearing like the YouTube video running in the background, and it mentions like, oh, like you hook up with the prostitutes and you get like a health buff. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I'm not, a kid anymore. So I don't really care. But I was doing a hard mission. I'm like, you know what? Let me pick up a prostitute so I can get this health buff, because I'm going to do that. I'm going to get the bulletproof vest and do the whole thing. And I could not pick up a prostitute. I did not know how to do it. Like I drove up, and then I'm like, then I also had like the problematic question. I'm like, is this a prostitute or is this just a woman?
How dare you, Janet?
Wearing like not a lot of clothes. And I'm like, am I canceled right now? Like what's going on? And I'm like on stream, like, yeah. And then chat's like, okay, like it was hilarious too, because one person was like, It's going to be a woman standing underneath, probably like a street light. She's going to be standing still. She's not going to be moving. Don't ask why I know all this, why it's so specific. Like, just take the advice. But I'm out here driving around. I never found where the
I'm so sorry.
was. Have no idea what's going on. Is this a bug? Like, do I not have a good read on the streets? Like, I don't know. I've yet to get this health buff, so.
You're out of touch because it's cool. You'll love it when you get it. It's crucial. You can't play the game any other way. Yeah.
There's probably an achievement for it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. I am kind of like eyeing that though I think some of the trophies might be bugged too, because there's one on PS5 that's listen to all the radio stations once, which obviously that's the first thing you do in the game.
Oh, sure.
And I haven't popped that trophy yet, and I'm like, is this game is this broken? Like, I don't really know what's going on.
The answer is probably yes.
The radio off count as a radio station, maybe?
I've done that too, though. I've also done that, so I don't know. I've ran like through all the stations. I'm not sure.
Weird. Yeah. Hey, Jeff Cork, what's your game of the year?
My game of the year?
I know you're in a privileged spot where you don't have to care about this crap anymore, but if we made you care, what would it be?
Oh, I did hesitate, but without hesitation, I'll say the Binding of Isaac expansion that just came out on console.
Are you serious?
100%. That's because I haven't played Returnal yet, okay?
Okay, all right, that's allowed. Thank you, Jeff Cork. I look forward to the next episode of Better Quest, and I look forward to the bonus Thanksgiving video.
Can I talk about one more Grand Theft Auto conspiracy thing?
Yes, you may.
A conspiracy
thing? Is it the name of the scooter in Vice City?
Kyle, don't.
The less we say about that, the
better. No. There was, in 2015, there was a movie. It was like a BBC television movie about Rockstar Games. Starring Daniel Radcliffe and Bill Paxton. Yeah. And I was like, I want to watch that. This is a good time to watch it. Playing these games, I can watch that movie. I cannot find it anywhere.
Same.
It's not on any streaming service. I can't. It's like, it's totally disappeared. And I wonder if Rockstar has managed to bury it somehow. Or maybe it's just a really bad movie. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe it was just a forgettable BBC made-for-TV movie, and they're not good about surfacing it. But the best is maybe we can find a Vimeo link on Reddit or something. I remember looking years ago and also just being shocked about it is wiped from the face of the earth.
Yeah, and it's not even it's not like Daniel Radcliffe plays one of the Hauser brothers.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
It's not we're playing the I guess what I'm trying to say is they didn't change everyone's names to try to avoid controversy or
Homer
whatever.
Brothers. Yeah.
But I want to watch it, even if it's bad. I want to see someone try to tackle that as this very strange and important moment in the game industry.
Yeah, send Kyle and I a link to that if anybody has a copy, please, or if you own it on DVD or something, please.
Maybe next time you're on the dark web, Kyle, you'll find it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what darkweb.com, I think is what it is.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, cool. Jeff Cork, we have more special guests to get to, but thank you for being here, sir.
Absolutely. Would you like me to clap out?
Yeah, unless there's anything else you want to say, get off your chest. Now's your chance, dude.
No. I'll save it for my blog.
Okay, bye, Jeff Cork.
Bye.
Wade Wojcik, former Game Informer video editor. Welcome, sir.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. You know the rules, Wade. We can't talk Halo without you. As the #1 super fan, Janet, this Wade fella, he's such a fan. He made a Halo fan film called Dawn Under Heaven. I just was Googling around, Wade. Kyle, guess how many views it's up to on YouTube?
20,000.
Yeah, right. 1.3 million views for this Halo fan film. Congratulations, Wade. That's crazy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, do you get to monetize the hell out of that, or how does that work? Does Microsoft get a cut?
So when we first started the project, no, but then Microsoft changed the rules partway through. So I was able to monetize it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you use Halo music in there? I'm trying to remember.
No, the music's more or less original, but you could I think according to the license agreement from Microsoft, you can use assets and music, but you have to show a disclaimer of their usage rules and essentially say, hey, this is Microsoft's property, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah.
Weird. Okay, well, we have you here, Wade, because there's a very exciting thing that was whispered. It seemed like a bunch of Halo influencers and streamers were on Twitter saying, psst, wait till Monday, everybody, wait till Monday. And they had this big 20th anniversary of Xbox thing on Monday. And then they get out there and said, hey, guess what? the multiplayer is live right now. Jump on in there. It's technically a beta, but have at it. We're officially calling it the Eat Shit Battlefield Update. Here we go, everybody. And so now the entire world has been losing their mind with Halo Infinite. But wait, as a super fan, if I may call you that, like, what has your experience been with the multiplayer so far?
I got to say, so at Game Informer, that was when Halo 5 was coming out, when I was there, and I played the beta then, and I was really psyched about Halo 5 coming out, got into all the pre-release marketing content, and then when it came out, played the campaign, played multiplayer for a bit, and then just fell off. I did not stay with Halo 5 for long term. I mean, there was quite a bit of backlash, again, for various things. With Halo 5. With Infinite, I was cautiously optimistic, especially after last year before Joe Staten came on and they delayed it a year and everything. But I wasn't really into trying the beta, the tech demo, or whatever they called it back earlier this year.
Right.
When this came out, I was like, okay, my friends want to give it a try. I'll download it. It's free to play. And then I tried Big Team Battle, and then right away got into a Warthog, Capture the Flag, and then immediately I was like, all right, I'm into this. This is what I want.
I'm still trying to unpack what it is about it, and I'm hoping that everybody else here who's smarter than I am can help me understand this. But like, I'm not a big FPS guy. Obviously, I love Halo 1. I have a lot of nostalgia for the multiplayer of Halo 1. But even going into this now with the beta release of the multiplayer, I was like, I had a really good time in that tech test. Maybe that was a fluke, but I'm just going to play this again by myself. And then last night got really into it again. I'm having such a good time with this. There's something about just like the purity of it, I guess. Whereas like every other Halo, like Halo 4 and 5, at least the multiplayer is always just like, what is this new crap you're trying to get me to do? Cards, I don't want to do any of this stuff. It just feels so clean and so accessible. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, there's something that it reminded me of when Breath of the Wild came out. It reminded me of how people say games that are with popular series that go back decades. One of the things they love to do is make you feel like, oh, this is how Ocarina of Time made me feel when I first played it. Or like when you go back to GoldenEye, it does not hold up, but it's like, oh, okay, this shooter makes me feel like back when I was a kid. This is this new great shooter. With Halo, it made me think, I can't go back and play. We tried Halo 1 when we did the deepest dive. I've gone back to play Halo 3. I can't play it and have fun like I used to. This made me feel, okay, this is the fun I was having back then, brought to modern day. A lot of the same things. The jumping feels the same. The vehicle handling feels the same. But a lot of things have been improved upon. They made so many great changes, like sprinting in Halo 5. There was a big difference between I looked this up, the base speed in the first 3 Halo games was 15 miles per hour. Halo 3, the base speed of walking was 17 miles per hour, sprint up to 22.5, a 32% increase. With this, Halo Infinite, it's 17 base, but only goes to 9.2 sprint. That's a 10% increase. So there's like all these tweaks that 343 made to make it feel like, okay, some people want sprint, some people don't. How do we cater to both sides? How do we give people the nostalgia, but also stay current and competitive with these new shooters? They really walked that line excellently with this.
And it's just the speed of the sprint, because that's what I was trying to figure out. And I'm not as glued into the Halo Reddit as I have been in the past, doing, coverage back at Game Informer and stuff like that. But I'm amazed, at least from my vantage point, at the lack of outrage so far. Like, I remember people were up in arms about look down sites.
It's for the battle pass is what it's
That's
for.
true.
Yes. So we can talk about that more later.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, everybody else, Janet, have you been playing any Halo Infinite yet?
No, I'm still debating on whether or not I want to check it out. I might just to see like what's here, but I'm not really a multiplayer person and I'm not a shooter person. So I'm like, do I want to pour my hours into this just because? And I don't know the answer for that.
I mean, the nice thing is if you got a couple buddies that would play, it's really easy to set up a nice custom match. Like, I love that custom game is like front and center on the main menu. You can just set up a private thing, mess around. The fact that it's free to play for everybody, you can play on PC. It's so crazy to have a Halo game launching for free on Steam. I understand there's been some technical issues with that, but still, like, just having zero barriers outside of, having a computer that can run this thing. I feel like it's going to be a good opportunity to try and rope in friends, and especially with that custom stuff, just to mess around and try and rekindle some of the old days, or just have a good time in a great first-person shooter. I am excited for it to get out of the gate strong here.
There's this really cool ramp up. I noticed you can start, if you're brand new to the series, brand new to this game, you can start with just taking a gun and shooting a dummy, and you can go all the way up to dummies that are running around that are trying to dodge you, up to fighting AI, and then there's this smooth ramp from I don't know how to play this game to okay, now I can play ranked.
Right.
It's excellent. I mean, I don't think Halo's had that before, but it's really nice to try out all the weapons, see how they feel, and then get into a game.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot and it's like, okay, I'm gonna have a good time. It's just like a good podcast game, just gonna run around, shoot, learn these new maps, all that stuff. But I was like, but I'm not really feeling competitive. Maybe that's just not my style anymore if I'm just playing with randos. And then I jumped into a ranked match and I had such a good time. And it ended up being 49-50. And I was sweating, and I was the final kill, and I cost my team the game. But other than that, like it was so much fun. It's like playing that mode in particular. I was like, oh my god, if I ever just want some intense competitive first-person stuff, I will absolutely be jumping back into ranked match in Halo Infinite. But
it's interesting, Hanson, because I had the exact opposite experience.
Oh, really?
Like the first couple of games, I just did quick play, and I did the big battle mode, and I was having lots of fun. And then I decided to do the ranked match or whatever, and I think I'm 0 for 5 at this point.
Oh boy.
And it's just been brutal. And one game, I'm not the greatest FPS player anymore or whatever.
Well, hang on, but to be fair, we played Halo multiplayer with the community, and you were top of the heap there, buddy.
I kicked ass at that.
It's true. That's true.
But there was one match where like I looked at the stats at the end of it just to see if I'm like up my own ass or whatever. Uh-huh. And like I did the best out of every category that they listed, and it's just, it feels so demoralizing when it's like you're doing your best and your team just gets wrecked by some other 4-player squad or whatever. I don't know if they were randomly put together or whatnot. I'm hoping that when I get to like the 10 matches where you actually get ranked, maybe it will be a little smarter about who it's putting into matches with. But so far, like that, I was surprised at what a difference it felt in terms of just like, I don't know what they're doing to throw people together in quick play, or if it's just, like a more casual setting so people don't care as much or what. But
right.
Yeah, the rank
what
has
I
been
seem to notice
unkind to me. So far.
What I seem to notice with ranking was like I would lose a game really bad, and the next one would be a little easier. It felt like I was going back and forth between these bumpers of too hard and too easy a little bit. Okay. And so it seemed to me, it took me about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get through all the games to be ranked, but it seemed like I could feel like they were trying to fine tune the experience as I was playing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle, where are you at with Halo Infinite so far?
Yeah, I'm digging it. It like Wade was talking about, it does a good job of like feeling like what I remember Halo being.
Yeah.
And like I don't know what the trick is. I think maybe everything's been turned down a little, right? Like sprint is, like Wade was saying, it's like turned down a little, and like maybe you're in the air more a little when you jump. I don't know what it is, but I'm having a good time. I've actually been enjoying the I forget what it's called, but the mode where you hold the skull.
Oddball.
Right.
Oddball, yeah. I had a really great match where like it was pretty clear that like probably 60% of who was playing missed that we were playing oddball, and we're very focused on just trying to get kills. So I was just like running laps, and I got an achievement for like hold the skull for 2 minutes, and I got that in like one match, and I was like, this is all right. This Halo, awesome game. But then of course I had matches where I got totally destroyed, where we only had like 2 seconds on the map and the other team had the full 2 minutes or whatever. But I'm having a good time with it. I'm still more excited for the campaign than I am for this multiplayer element.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm gonna probably play a couple matches every night, and play an hour of San Andreas, and then fall asleep and be content with my life.
Some good retro living. Yeah, I think I saw Daniel Dwyer tweet about how weird it is that we're all playing Halo and playing GTA 3 and watching G4. Right. It's just like a weird...
In November of a video game, like November's usually like, oh, I gotta play all these huge games.
Yeah, but I love just how on Front Street 343 is and Microsoft is with Halo by trying to get everybody in. Obviously making it free is a huge move, dropping it early is a huge move. And then I love just, hey, here's the title screen. Here's just the Halo theme. Like, we cannot make this any more Halo if we tried. Here's the classic music. Here's everything. Please, please, please. This is our one last chance to really let this reach up into the stratosphere again. And like the rest of the music, I don't know. It kind of sounds like explosions in the sky. Like, I like it a lot, but every time like that music kicks in, it's just like a lot of drums. It sounds so cool.
I definitely got explosions in the sky vibes as well, which I am a big fan of. So I'm like, yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This is like Friday Night Lights, except me playing Halo. This is the best case scenario. We'll be talking a lot more about Halo Infinite moving into the future. In fact, Kyle, I would argue that with you looking forward to the campaign this much, it's probably about time that we created the best, most thorough discussion about Halo Infinite on the internet.
Quite an idea.
Quite an idea. So stay tuned, everybody, for a big, some would say a deep dive on the Halo Infinite campaign. So stay tuned to MinnMax's YouTube channel, all that fun stuff. Wade, any other final thoughts on Halo Infinite?
Well, Kyle mentioned the progression system. And
that was, of course, yeah.
The biggest, like, sort of, I don't know, maybe false note or thing that a lot of people notice, hey, it's taking me hours just to get to like level 2, and all these rewards, even if you don't need the battle pass, require me to get to this super high level. I think, or maybe they all do need the battle pass, but it's like, okay, it's $28, roughly for the battle pass. And then I need to play for hundreds of hours just to get this armor that I want. It is kind of a downer. However, I did notice that, so Joe Staten's been tweeting a lot, and he tweeted just the other day he said, we're looking very closely at Battle Pass progression in the beta. Please keep the feedback coming. We can't do our jobs without it. So it's good to see that they're like listening and wanting to improve the product based on the feedback from the community.
Yeah.
I think they already lowered some prices, but then that kicked off frustration too, because there are a lot of people that were like, I already paid for this and now it's already cheaper.
Don't you know the rules, Kyle? If it says beta, you can't be mad for any reason, I think, is the official gaming logic.
Oh, that's right. I do get a little frustrated with like just even the simple fact of like when a match starts, the camera zooms in on each player, right?
Right.
Which is like explicitly to encourage you to buy stuff to wear on your person. It does not make the game better. In fact, it's a hurdle because it just makes it take another 28 seconds for the match to start.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a lot of like little things like that are just sort of on the periphery of this like great core shooting that like I could see myself just getting increasingly annoyed with. But like I will say that the battle pass stuff doesn't bug me too much because like I'm not really that interested in unlocking things. I'm
totally with you.
Everyone kind of looks the same to me. That's kind of how it's always been with Halo. So like having different helmets not really a huge incentive for me.
Yeah, and so if I understand it correctly, it's that idea that it's not a matter of just getting kills or getting victories for XP. Like it's trying to prioritize you, to do these very specific things in specific ways. And I'd love to hear from that team 343 about why they went that route, just to try and like emphasize a variety of gameplay instead of just basic killing. But yeah, based on this outrage, I could see them definitely scaling that back for the future. But all right, Halo Infinite, everybody. We'll be talking about it more in the future. Look forward to it, please. Hey, Kyle.
Yes.
Before I let you go, I need to talk to you about the greatest announcement this week. Not that Halo Infinite was live to play right now, but this frickin' game, Dragon Ball: The Breakers.
Oh. I was trying to guess what you're going to say.
Did you watch this trailer?
Hell yeah, I watched that trailer.
Okay, so if you missed this, everybody, Bandai Namco is making a Dragon Ball game, and it is an asymmetrical 7v1 survival game where, at least in the trailer, you can play as Cell, and then you're just somebody else in West City or whatever running around. You can be like Oolong or Bulma or whatever.
Hanson, they did confirm other villains. So like
that's
Frieza
right.
is confirmed to be in the game and stuff like that, yeah.
Okay. I did my reaction video. You can watch me explode on our YouTube channel. But Kyle, what was your take on Dragon Ball: The Breakers?
I mean, I love it conceptually. It's definitely one of those, like, we'll play it, we'll see how it goes. But like just the base idea of it, everyone's kind of calling it Dead by Daylight.
Right.
Because it's like a, asymmetrical multiplayer where it's like you play as a Z fighter and just try to not get killed by Cell, which is an intriguing idea. I like the idea of like being a normal person trying to avoid the insane combat happening around Dragon Ball. Like that's a fun idea.
Yes, I'm totally on board, and I'm just excited to see them try something different with Dragon Ball. Like there were comments, and I know it's stupid to attack YouTube comments, but there are YouTube comments for that reaction video I did that are like, just let us fight Cell. Just give us a fighting. I was like, how many games could you possibly want that in everybody? I feel like Dragon Ball has really peaked recently, where it's like, if you want like an open world RPG, you got Kakarot, which I feel like went above and beyond what a lot of folks would ever expect from a Dragon Ball RPG. And then, hey, if you want a fighting game, here's Fighters, one of the best fighting games in years. It's like, let them get weird and creative and different, and Dragon Ball The Breakers is exactly that. Like, having a comedic survival game set in the Dragon Ball universe is just, it's everything I wanted and I didn't know. I'm so excited. Genuinely, one of my most anticipated games in 2022 now. It's just going to be a stupid good time. I'm looking forward to that. That's Dragon Ball The Breakers, everybody. Also, it's too geeky to talk about, but also Final Fantasy VII First Soldier came out, the iOS Battle Royale. Janet and Jeff, I'm looking at you, and Wade, I'm looking at you. You're being very patient and very lovely. Can I talk about this for just a second?
Yeah, you seemed like you were loving the experience that you were having.
Okay, good. Yeah. Oh, we've been all about it. So this is the Battle Royale for iOS and Android. It's out now, and it is set like 30 years before Final Fantasy VII. And the whole idea is you're in the classic VR simulator to find the first soldier in Midgar. Kyle, have you played this absurd thing?
Yeah, I started it, and it it's canon, right? Like, it's all
it's canon, but when it's like, in VR,
it shows the opening cutscene from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's like, you love this, right? You're getting the goosebumps. All right, now we're gonna rewind, and we're going to show you, we're going to jump 30 years into the past. And by the way, it has like actual years, like 1985.
Yes! That's the first time.
I was like, what?
That is the first time I've ever seen that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Final Fantasy fans, but it establishes a year that Final Fantasy VII happened. It's like, yeah, now this is Midgar in 1988. It's like, that's such a weird idea. Okay. Yeah, they go above and beyond in like that opening cinematic to make it look cool and to connect it and like, look at all these other wannabe soldiers using all their summons.
I mean, I will say, like, the cutscene looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks nice visually during the gameplay. I think it felt like it had higher production values than I was expecting. Can you use a controller? Do you know?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, it's mobile only. Okay. I definitely have my fingers crossed that it comes to Switch just so it can run like crap for Janet or something. But, like, it is just one of those...
Why not? Get in line. Let's go.
There's a lot of fine print in this game, even during the gameplay of like, okay, just trying to squint to see items in the menu and stuff like that. They have really packed a surprising amount in. There's like parkour in there. It's all too much for one little mobile screen. And lo and behold, it sucks to play a battle royale on a mobile device. Outside of that, like, it is kind of charming. Like, it got me, Kyle, on a couple fronts. Like, you start out in a helicopter coming in over the world, and the world is kind of like a Call of Duty Battle Royale where they just combined a bunch of different things together. Like, hey, here's Don Corneo's mansion. Here's the Sector 7 slums. Here's Aerith's church. But it's kind of in an open world. It's like the first real open world Final Fantasy VII game. Unless you want to count the original game as open world, which I understand is confusing. But anyways, then you're actually coming in on a helicopter, and they have like the opening music from Final Fantasy VII as you're coming in on that copter.
Good.
And every time it gets me. It's so stupid that a little Battle Royale in mobile can still get me emotional, but like hearing that intro music, like instead of Cloud coming in on the train, you're steering a helicopter to then drop in on Aerith's church. I am so into it every time. It is so stupid and silly. I'm enjoying this weird thing, Kyle, and it's got like, it's got classic battle royale. It's got the circle closing in, but now it's Mako gas that you can't die from, Kyle. If you go outside the circle, you'll die. It's got a chocobo farm for everybody. You can actually like go and breed your chocobo at the chocobo farm. It doesn't have the chocobo farm music, but you can customize
during the battle royale.
I was just about to ask, like, this is mid combat. We're just stopping to. Is it like how you can play soccer in Fortnite?
Yeah, don't be naive. There's so much more to this game than just a battle royale. It's a whole experience. There's things you can buy. It's everything. No, it's actually like in the menu. You can go to like a chocobo farm, and then you can breed your chocobo like there was breeding in Final Fantasy VII at the chocobo farm, and then you can customize the chocobo that you have in the game as you're running around. You can also
now I'm a little
you can ride the chocobo.
I'm like, I'm here for the chocobo.
You can ride the chocobo.
Yep, you can ride it.
You can ride around, and then there's vehicles too. You can get on a motorcycle.
Not only a motorcycle,
and very awkwardly control it on a touchscreen.
It's a nightmare.
It really like. I'm charging the PS4 controller now to like see if it's controller compatible.
Okay.
If it is, I will play more, because I actually went in with very low expectations and was kind of like, this seems like it could be kind of cool if the controls were, if I could get those working in a way I like.
Yeah, like I know we talked about last week during community questions, like, hey, it's weird that Square has released these like two kind of indie RPG projects recently that feel like bottom of the barrel budget, but playing this, it's like they spent some real money on this thing. They're really going all out. Like it is now, if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, you should at least look at it just to see what they're doing in this world. But they know that there's plenty of people in the world playing Battle Royale games on mobile. I mean, PUBG just had like a relaunch of like a new version on mobile or something like that. So there's some freaky people in the world that are enjoying this format. So let's jump in, everybody. So yeah, I hope to do something more. I'm going to try and maybe get a gameplay up of it, or I'll try and stream from my phone. There's a bunch of weird ways to maybe do it.
By the end of the year, will you have played more Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale or Halo Infinite multiplayer?
Oh, Halo Infinite. Come on.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
You know what? Look, if like best friend Ronnie gets really into doing duos in Final Fantasy VII First Soldier, maybe there's a chance that I would really get into this. Maybe if the community enjoys gameplay videos or something of this thing, then maybe there's some hope there. But it's weird. It's, you know, I stopped being precious about Final Fantasy VII a long time ago, and this is kind of continuing in that train of kind of the, you know, compilation of Final Fantasy VII versus, yeah, game on, make some stupid stuff, put the music in, we're fine.
They said the church is in the game, Aerith's church. Can you drop in through the ceiling?
The gameplay videos show somebody like in the rafters, but I haven't done that. I don't think I tried parkouring up Aerith's church.
No, I'm saying like from the helicopter.
I know. There are holes in the ceiling. Like even before Cloud bust through it, apparently there were holes there 30 years ago. So yeah, the lore is confusing. Also, I don't know if this convinced you to check it out, Jeff, but one of the vehicles you can ride is a motorcycle that looks just like roaches. So you can really, and you can do like a whole spin attack and stuff.
Game of the year.
It's absurd. Okay, that's it, everybody. We can move on. Let's see, Kyle, do you want to bid us adieu?
Leaving. See you guys later. Lovely to see you, Wade.
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Yeah, actually, I'm going to go too, Hanson. Bye. See you, everyone.
Sarah Podzorski. Welcome to the big show. Sarah, this is Wade. Wade, this is Sarah.
Oh.
Hello.
Sarah, you came just in time to answer this riddle that has stumped us for eons, which is, do you know how this whole thing operates?
I believe, Ben. I believe it's a Patreon, patreon.com.
That's right, everybody. Patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. If you enjoy the show, you can support it or join it over on Patreon, just like these fine people that support us in a big, wad way. I'm talking about Diverge Coffee. Diverge Coffee was started in 2020 by 2 friends, Brian and Nick. We bonded over our mutual love for video games, coffee, and our passion to start a business. Some of you in the Better Quest Discord maybe even helped us choose our logo or taste tested some of our roasts. Now that we're a little more established, we wanted our first real attempt at advertising to be with the community we started with and love so much. We're excited to be able to support MinnMax, and if you enjoy high quality coffee, consider supporting us back. Being the nerds that we are, we have meticulously created roast profiles for each of our high quality, ethically sourced coffee beans. Go to divergecoffee.com and browse our selection of blends and single origin roasts. Once you find what you like, be sure to use the code MinnMax. 2 N's, they say, at checkout to get 15% off of your order. Again, that's divergecoffee.com, discount code MinnMax for 15% off. Can you believe it, Wade? 15%.
What?
It's wild. Also, thank you to the folks at Fixture S1. They want everybody to know about the Fixture S1, which is a clip you put on your Switch Pro controller so that you can put the actual screen on that as well, so you can play with the most comfortable Switch controller while on the go. You can follow a link below to check out their listing on Amazon. They are $35. There is a carrying case bundle as well that you can check out. Or, here's a secret, everybody. If you are so inclined, you can also follow MinnMax on Instagram, which is MinnMax Show on Instagram, because we are giving Fixture S1s away. So you have a chance to win a Fixture S1 by looking on Instagram, MinnMax on Instagram. There's a post where we say, hey, the podcast is live, and all of us have wonderful faces and all of our pictures are in there. Leave a comment on that post and you can win a Fixture S1 for your Nintendo Switch completely free. Also, we have an ongoing giveaway on Instagram as well. So if we hit 2,100 followers on Instagram, we're also giving away another Fixture S1. So please check that out. Also, thank you to the fine folks at, of course, I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about the vinyl soundtrack for Hyperlight Drifter. It is a 4-vinyl set. The music is by Disasterpiece. It's one of Kyle's favorite games and favorite soundtracks ever. So you can check that out. Of course, it comes with the full digital soundtrack as well. And I'm8bit is very generous. And so everything in their online store under $100, you can get 10% off of if you are so inclined by using the promo code Turkatron. One word, Turkatron. 10% off everything in I'm8bit's wonderful online store. And because they won't stop being generous, they also will be shipping out a prize to whoever has the best question of the week. This week, whoever has the best question submitted over on Patreon for us and read on this podcast will win the vinyl soundtrack to Spinch. So please look forward to that. Wade, are you ready for this?
Totally.
Okay, great. We need you to really pay attention to who has the best question because that person will win this Spinch vinyl soundtrack. Okay, here we go. Chandler writes in and says, "Oh man, I love Wade. Where has he been?"
Well, thank you. I love you too.
Wow. Intimate.
Well, you know, I've been able to come on the MinnMax show here and there when Ben invites me, including on Extra Life this year, which is a blast. By the way, Hanson, how many years in a row have you had to shave your head? Is this number 5?
Oh, that's a good question. It might be 5. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you incorporate that into your seasonal look, because it's like a fall thing now, every fall.
That's true. Yeah, the nice thing is if you're a fashion schlub, you don't understand looks. So there was a nice comment though where somebody left a comment on YouTube and they said like, "Oh, I've been watching, you know, Game Informer MinnMax stuff for so long that it feels like an annual tradition is like the resetting of Hanson's hair every November with Extra Life." But it only happens if people donated $2,000 to charities. So it's
and there'll
all
be 2 more weeks of winter.
That's right.
That's right.
That's how it works. Yeah. But yeah, Wade, what have you been up to?
So I've been living in New Orleans now, which actually the weather is getting perfect right now. It's like 60s, 70s.
Ooh.
So it's nice not to have to do the Minnesota winter thing. Go up for the holidays maybe, but yeah. So I do right now. I'm doing a lot of COVID changed everything. So a lot of work from home right now on post production and previs and working in commercial work. So
cool.
A lot of that.
Nice. Yeah. It was a couple years ago now, maybe 2 years ago, that my girlfriend and I went down to visit.
That's right.
New Orleans and hung out with Wade and his girlfriend, now fiance.
It was right before
both.
COVID.
That's right. It was right before COVID. Yeah, and it was a nice taste in New Orleans because you're like, oh, they have some parade. It's the Chewbacca's. That's what it was. Where it was like a sci-fi themed parade. It was the greatest parade I've ever seen in my life. It was just incredible because just a variety of just sci-fi things, but also just like a bunch of nerds walking by. It was just incredible to look at. There was a band playing like a live version of the Incredibles soundtrack. It was just everything that I wanted. And then at the end of it, you guys were like, it's a pretty weak parade for New Orleans standards. Like, what? Like, you were just drinking beer that you brought in your backpack? We get to watch this amazing parade, and you're like, this is like a New Orleans 5 out of 10. It's like, what?
Well, I mean, as far as size, I actually did really enjoy that one a lot. Because they had the crew. They had like the crew of Leias, and so it's like 50 Princess Leias, and then it's the crew of the Sith. They all have the size. The crew of Indiana Jones, and they have the big boulder they're rolling down the street.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That Warcraft, Star Trek, every nerd, fantasy, geek thing you can imagine was in that parade, and it was a lot of fun.
It was excellent. Taylor C. writes in, and he says, or he asks, what is the biggest snub in awards show history? Any awards show is eligible for this answer. Let's see. Sarah, do you have any thoughts on this one?
No. I spent like 80% of my day yesterday just being upset over the Game Award nominations.
Oh.
It was fueled my hatred.
Because of Outer Wilds DLC?
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting that to get nominated, but I was expecting to see like a few more smaller titles. It felt like there were a few big ones that seemed to dominate all of the categories.
Right.
So, I don't know. This year just seemed not great for the Game Awards.
Yeah, I'm happy with the variety. We already talked about it earlier in the show, but I'm still looking forward to seeing. And there's still some freaky choices at the top there for Game of the Year that I'm excited about. But yeah, I don't know. Like, Wade, what do you think? Overall awards show history.
There was one that really annoyed me, that the best animated feature went to Brave instead of Wreck-It Ralph. And even Stephen Colbert agrees with me. On the end of his show one night, he said Wreck-It Ralph got like robbed or something. Yeah.
I mean, Brave is very forgettable. If you like asked me to name every Pixar movie off the top of my head, Brave would be one of the last ones I think that was like, oh yeah, they did Brave. Yeah.
I've rewatched Wreck-It Ralph so many times, but Brave not so much. I Wreck-It Ralph is just such a more. Maybe it's because it's video game related. I don't know, but I have so much more fun with that movie.
Right. Yeah. It's tough not to go for like the Oscars for this. I know like the classic one is everybody brings up that Goodfellas lost to Dances with Wolves. I'm like, yeah, that's absurd for 1990. I like Dances with Wolves, but so it's a little bit tough.
You know, I rewatched Goodfellas recently. It's not my favorite. It's just such a downer of a movie. I don't know. I like mob movies just as much as the next person.
All right.
I don't know.
For me, for Oscars, I always think of 2005 when Crash beat Brokeback Mountain for Best Picture. It's like, go back and watch those two movies, everybody. You're going to tell me that Crash is better? That's insane.
I don't know. Crash was pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. I'm totally with you, Janet.
I don't know. For me, it's Lemonade not getting Album of the Year over Beyonce lost to Adele for Album of the Year.
Oh.
Also, To Be a Butterfly not getting Album of the Year. In general, hip hop is the most dominant genre of music that never wins Album of the Year. And you have to ask yourself why that is, you know, and I'll just let everyone out there ask themselves why that tends to be. Just a question to throw out there. Like the only time a hip hop album has won Album of the Year in Grammy history is Speaker Box / The Love Below, because everyone liked Hey Ya, and it's like, oh, they're singing. So it's like, it's great because it doesn't even feel like, it's a hip hop album, which is not even close to Outkast's best album. So yeah, just something to think about. That tends to happen every single year at the Grammys.
So you're saying that you disagree with the way it was done, but you agree with the philosophy of when Taylor Swift was interrupted by Kanye to say, hey, I'm gonna let you finish.
Oh, God.
But
I mean, I think music video, like, who cares, right?
Oh, okay.
But it is rough that I have nothing nice to say about how the Grammys treats hip hop, but Beyonce won urban album of the year that year, which is its own mess of things. But
interesting.
It'd be nice to see it be a little bit more diverse in that sense.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know.
Parkia writes in and says, if you can create a new award category for which your favorite game would be the unanimous winner, what would it be?
Best Zelda game.
Okay. And then Breath of the Wild takes it?
Which one would win?
Yeah, well, I guess they should come out with a Zelda every year, like Assassin's Creed. Well, no, they stopped doing that.
Call of Duty still going strong. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, the beauty is that with the MinnMax show, we can technically create an award and then shoehorn it in. I think, in the past we've had best podcast game of the year and stuff, just as a way to tip the cap to the Forza Horizon series and stuff like that. I don't know if it's the most exciting category. That one probably won't make the cut this year. We could probably just mention it once or something, that it's a good podcast game.
I would like to see experimental game, because I feel like a lot of the games that I like would end up in that category. Ooh. So like Before Your Eyes and Chicory and all of those games where it's like they took a risk on the game design, and I would like to see them in their category where it's like they changed something, like they tried something different. Yeah. And I would like to see them kind of, I would hate for one of them to win over the other ones, but it's like, I would like people to see what other people are doing in games that is different.
But don't you think that's kind of diminishing it? Like, I'm going to fight for Before Your Eyes for being high on the list of the best.
I know you're going to try to fight for it.
Okay, good. It should be an interesting one. But don't you think it's like, hey, instead of just being like, hey, most different weird thing, like, don't you think if it's that good of a game, it should be able to fight for just overall quality along with the rest of them?
No, because it's like, that's why Before Your Eyes only is in like a few categories, right?
Yeah.
Like, people are like, oh, like, it seems kind of, gimmicky, like, we may never see it again. We may never see, like, eye capture in a game before, but it's like, I want to see them called out for it and, like, awarded for it, because it's a lot of work, It's a lot of, like, back-end work, like, doing these new things and, like, Chicory's coloring and how you colored to get through the game. It's like, you're telling me you're only going to award it for, like, what was it, like
impact? Games for impact?
Games for impact.
Yeah, games for impact? Like,
no one knows what that means. I think it's like games for impact is like,
just like
it's for like the sad games.
Vibes. It's like sad games for sad gamers, which I'm like, I know all these games. Yeah, that was my favorite games of the year.
This is my category, sad games for sad gamers.
Yeah, it's like hip and sad games. Yeah, it's a weird one. James Burkett writes in and says, hey, CLCs, Game of the Year discussions are coming up. My question for y'all is, will you be allowing spoiler talk for your 210s list this year? I personally don't mind spoiler talk when discussing a game you're personally passionate about. Also, Sarah, is the DLC of The Outer Wilds really that good?
It's really good.
Okay, there it is. I think so. What we settled on after last year, because there was a lot of debate about the amount of spoilers that we had in the categories for last year. And I think the way to do it that we settled on is we will be spoiling things, but we'll be very clear and we'll put it in timestamps. So like, all right, we're spoiling the Outer Wilds DLC, but we're only spoiling it for the next 3 minutes. Check the timestamps. And there's not going to be any references to it after that timestamp. So hopefully that'll be a good middle ground for folks. Because I know people were furious that we didn't give a moment in Yakuza 7 best moment because Suriel wasn't allowed to explain what the moment was because I didn't want it spoiled because I was almost to that moment and it was too selfish of me. So yeah, we'll hopefully get around that this year. And our apologies to Suriel. Let's see. Ian Sweetage writes in and says, hello, MinnMaxers. With the end of the year quickly approaching, and as I get older in general, I realize that I don't have nearly enough time to balance newer releases like SMT5 and going back to the old classics that I missed. For games that you know you like, but may or may not have time to play through them to completion, would you rather play them on an easier difficulty setting to get to the end, or stick to your preferred difficulty and not finish the game at all?
I mean, definitely easier, but I think it's still really long. Like, it's not that, like, it can speed it up, and I actually did that with Far Cry 6, which I momentously rolled credits on, and it's been a long time since I felt that joy of being done with something. Like, it's such a long game. And at a certain point, I did crank that down to easy, because I'm like, I don't want to have to ever redo a mission. You know, on normal, I sometimes maybe would die and have to start again. I'm like, no more starting again, we're just going. But it still took me like another 8 or 10 hours. So I think for a really beefy game, it's not necessarily the difficulty that's keeping me from finishing it. If you're an RPG, you're still going to be long.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, to everybody out there screaming about SMT5, when are we going to cover it? Yeah, we would like to. We have a couple of codes, so hopefully in the future we can talk about it. And our apologies to all the huge fans out there that are screaming about it being underrated. We hear you. But yeah, it's totally worth playing a game on an easier difficulty to try and get through it. But yeah, obviously if it's still going to take that much time, but you know, I understand that for a lot of people that gameplay challenge is a core part of the experience, but what are we talking? 40% of the experience at most compared to everything else in the game? I mean, let's get realistic here.
I mean, what's easy for someone might be hard for someone else. So like Janet said, like, what if easy is normal for like a normal gamer who plays games every day? Normal is probably pretty easy for us, whereas easy is probably normal for everybody else. So like, just experience it how you want to experience it.
That's right.
Yeah.
No shame.
That notion to me goes back to one of the early Halo games where I think it said heroic, which is the second to the hardest, said this is the way Halo was meant to be played or something in the descriptor.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking, okay, I took that to mean most games. I'm like, okay, if I want to play it properly, I need to be just below the highest difficulty, and that's come to bite me before. Like, back in when Witcher 3 came out, and I really wanted to finish that to see if I wanted to be on my top 10 list that year. I just couldn't get past a certain part in the beginning, but they had this really great thing in the difficulty selector of that game. It didn't say easy, medium, hard. It said, what sort of thing are you looking for? Are you looking for blood and glory, or death and glory, whatever the highest one? The easiest one was, I think, just give me a story. And I'm like, I like that. Because what if I just want a story? I don't want this, blood gauntlet or whatever. So that made me realize, okay, it's okay to turn it down if you're looking for something different other than this immense challenge.
You're totally right.
Totally in favor of that.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like there has been a general shift to calling easy mode story mode in games. Like, I think it's smart. It makes it more appealing for me, at least.
Yeah.
Marriott Player writes in and says, jank is often seen as a negative in games, but I tend to love it, especially in the GTA series. What's your take on jank? If it doesn't ruin or break a game, is it all right? Is it actually better when it does break the game? Or is just a little jank enough? Thank you, Marriott Player.
I, as a pro simulation player, like Trucking Simulator and like Microsoft Flight Simulator, I love me some good jank.
Yeah.
I love it. I love janky physics. I love flying through a map. I love like shooting off into space. As long as I can recover, as long as it doesn't crash my computer or like reset me back to the beginning of a game, or like, God forbid, like trap me so I have to reload a save.
Right.
I love jank. Unless I'm going into like, if I'm going in expecting a polished experience, then it's like some jank is a little like, ooh, like, did you really QA this? Like, it makes me worried about what else I'm going to experience.
Interesting.
It was like a little red flag where it's like, like I see something like clipping and then you're like, ooh. But unless I'm going in like expecting jank, then, you know, it's usually pretty fun and adds to the experience.
Yeah, like Naughty Dog has worked very hard. So now they're at a point where there's jank in their games. It is damning jank. Whereas I feel like, I remember for Outer Worlds, we did a rapid fire with the crew over there for Outer Worlds at Obsidian. And I remember one of the questions was, isn't a little bit of jank a good thing? And their answer, I think, was no. And then I remember we said jank in the trank, which is a joke I'll still defend. But I think there is like that audience, like especially the Fallout fans and the Fallout New Vegas fans in particular. Like there's something kind of fun about like a slightly janky RPG because you feel like, okay, I can get away with a little bit more here. I can push these systems a little bit more to the limit.
I think that conversation has shifted though in recent years. Like I think people got tired of jank right around Fallout 76, where I remember the conversation around Fallout, and as an outsider, because I really haven't spent very much time with any of those games, people being like, yeah, like it's fun, like Fallout, Skyrim, you're like falling through wagons and like, it's hilarious how the game's broken. And then at Fallout 76, they're like, I can't believe this game is broken. Like this is messed up. And that's not to say that like there are other reasons Fallout 76 got dragged that are outside of that element. But it felt like since then, the broader gaming community is no longer charmed by jank. And now it's like something that I feel like people look over with like a fine-tooth comb in reviews and commentary online of like, look at this thing and how this thing's broken. Like, I think people have just evolved a little bit past that, at least in the mainstream AAA space. I do think like, I'm with Sarah, like some jank can be fun, and as long as I can still get through the game, it kind of depends on the context in which it is, you know, and what else is going on. I don't think it's like a one size fits all thing, but I felt like no one really likes jank anymore versus like back in the day, they used to always say that, oh yeah, it's fine. Like their games are always broken. And now they're like, I can't believe their games are always broken. They need to fix that. Right.
Are people going to be nostalgic when Starfield comes out for that Bethesda jank? I think that game will still be.
I think if it's janky at all, people are going to be pissed.
Yeah. You're probably right.
I think for me, there's kind of two separate categories. I totally agree. Like it kind of depends on the context. I'm thinking like, well, Assassin's Creed Unity had some jank, and that was not the good kind.
Right.
Sometimes kept me just from finishing the game. But then there's like Halo jank, which you can see in the Infinite beta, where people will throw plasma on a warthog and then quick, use the grappling hook before it launches, and then it'll throw them 300 feet in the air, and then they can, do a rocket launcher from like while flying over the map. Right. So that kind of jank is always a good time. But yeah, I agree. If like it prevents you from finishing the game, or is a red flag for something coming up, like, oh no, am I not going to be able to finish this mission or whatever? Cyberpunk jank, I guess, is the kind
that one was in my mind. I was like, cyberpunk.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think. A definition of jank. In my mind, it's like glitch, but primarily physics glitch. Is that? It's not just as simple as any bug is jank, right? It needs to be like...
And then I feel like there's skill jank, like the warthog thing. Like you have to be probably pretty skilled to pull that off. Jank. So like I'm okay with skill jank because it's like, speed running, like you're just talented or whatever. But then there's like, there's like physics jank. There's like graphics jank where suddenly your character grows like 2 feet in a cutscene and their eyes are like in the sky and you're like,
Yeah, we don't like eye jank. But that's a good MinnMax t-shirt, by the way. I'm okay with skill jank. I think it needs to get out there. Andrew Molnar writes in and says, hello, MinnMax. Imagine that the technology exists to seamlessly transfer human consciousness and personality into a robotic body. There is no monetary cost to do so, and the robotic body is virtually indestructible, requires no maintenance, and will continue to survive indefinitely. Oh, hang on, now I'm scared. Even after the sun explodes.
No.
Okay. If given the choice, would you transfer your consciousness or remain as you are? Your choice is permanent.
They took it too far with the sun exploding.
Yeah.
So
I think I would still do it.
Post-sun?
Float into space, Sarah, for eternity? You're going to be so bored.
I mean, like, eventually, I think my mind would degrade enough to the point where it was like I was dead anyways.
That's horrifying.
So you're going to go full Cortana out there drifting in space?
Yeah, and then I'll probably get picked up by some aliens, and they'll be like, what is this? And, like, maybe they'll start worshiping me.
Okay.
And then I will become God.
You're doing a long play here. Okay.
Yeah, the classic right. Now I will become God long play. I mean, okay, how long in your world is this stupid robot body floating out there before
Infinite.
So okay, but when are
until the death of the universe and nothing and everything ceases to exist? But that's like trillions light years. It's like so many years in the future.
Yeah, I
will either outlive God or I will become God.
Another great T-shirt. Let's get it on there. I just feel like, the idea of aliens picking you up, I think the universe ends before aliens find one robot body.
If there's like infinite time, I also have infinite possibilities.
To do what?
Eventually it might happen.
You know, when this question was posed, I didn't know it was going to go this metaphysical. This is crazy.
Right.
We're talking about the end of time. I respectfully disagree. I would not want to transfer said consciousness into said robot because
it's probably the healthy thing. It's healthy.
It's part of life. You know, we live our life and we have to pass on, and that's part of it. However, there's a thing. Well, what if a 5-year-old's gonna die? Do you do it for, you know what I mean? Like,
ooh,
do you extend the life of someone who would otherwise die? That's
extending it to
someone else.
The sun took it too far. Like with the sun thing, I can no longer entertain the question. If it was like, okay, you die with like the planet though, or something more, then I could think. And then the first thing I thought of when I saw this question too, and I like asked everyone that was in my kitchen at the time, like, where y'all drop in your brain to this robot body.
Yeah. And
I'm like, how widespread is this? Is this everyone can do it? Because my boyfriend was like, oh, I definitely immediately, it would pop on my iPad, the notification, like transfer consciousness. I'd click it. We're there. I'm in the robot form. And then I'm like, maybe I should be a robot too, because then, or else I'm just dating a robot. You know what I mean? Because that's weird. Now, if we're both like in these like robot consciousnesses, you know, then that could be okay.
You say it's okay. I don't want to, critique your relationship. It's okay, but like 10 billion years floating in space together as a robot relationship, no one can survive that.
My brother had the opposite thing. He's like, if my fiance does it, he's like, I'm definitely not gonna, because I'm not gonna be there for beyond death. Like that's too far.
Right. And look, if you want to be a couple in heaven, more power to you, everybody. But I think the sun is the dividing line. We say that's outright, but I mean, okay, so the sun's got 10 billion years before it goes away. Like, I think your mind would fully deteriorate before 10 billion years.
It'd be so boring. You'd be floating for so long. That's why I can't do it. I'm not going to float in space for...
Yeah, floating for 1 year would be hard.
You'll cease to feel time, though. You will simply exist, and the whole concept of time is just out the window.
Because...
That sounds great.
You're not going to be floating in time, like, what time? Like, you're going to be floating in space, like, is it November? Like, it doesn't matter.
Now, if they had, like, a body where, I don't know, I had, like, a helmet and, like, all these extra things where I could, like, fly through space, like Iron Man, maybe I could watch Netflix and stuff, like, create my own,
you'll have time to make that.
Something.
You have infinite time. You can make
now
that.
I have to make it. Now I'm working? Like, how smart am I? I spill my own mind.
Do you know how rich you can be in a billion years?
I can't even get my own streams to work. Like, I'm crafting, like, entire media companies in my brain.
Is this also a Soma situation where
that's what I was thinking?
Where you are just like transferring your mind over to a robot and your body's still there, so there's two of you?
Oh.
And like the you that's human still gets to live and die?
No, that would be sad and gross. I imagine it'd be like the body would collapse the second your brain goes out of it. But Andrew doesn't say.
Not the living forever into eternity.
So am I going to my own funeral? What are they doing with my body?
Yeah, you get to go to the funeral as the robot. You'd get to give the speech, I think.
Do people know I'm me? Do you have my face? Is it like am I like an advanced android?
Andrew.
Like before I become human?
Andrew, I don't know.
Am I a Roomba?
Yeah,
what if I was just a Roomba?
Andrew Molnar needs to stop submitting questions on Patreon and get writing this short film, or long film, I should say, mini-series for Netflix so we get all these questions answered. But I can't stop thinking about that idea of post-Sun Explode, which, by the way, Starkiller in the Backstage Pass just said post-Sun Sarah, which is a very funny idea. But just post-Sun exploding, like, how would you, you're right, Sarah, there would be no time. Yeah, I understand, like, the stars, I guess, would move a little bit.
And this is why Outer Wilds Echoes of the Eye is the best DLC. I will not say that it touches on this, but it does touch on this.
There we go.
Wink.
Well, so what would happen is, like, the sun's going to expand and engulf the Earth eventually, and you're going to be sucked into the sun. It's going to become a white dwarf, very condensed, and you're going to be stuck to the surface for a while because you have no way of escaping its gravity.
I would just be there like, LOL, as I hurtle through space.
We'd all be like, LOL. Adam writes in with a killer question. He says, since the game's inception in the early 1940s, has there ever been a day on Earth, I'm talking one single day, without someone getting a Yahtzee?
That's disgusting. I liked the other question. I hate this question.
Says, I got into this discussion with friends recently and they insisted days have gone by without a Yahtzee. For reference, studies show there is nearly a 50% chance of getting a Yahtzee in any single game, and there are like 7 billion people on Earth. We're counting knockoff versions of the game as well, so has a day without a Yahtzee happened since 1940?
What a movie.
I learned how to play Yahtzee last year, and I got 1 Yahtzee. So I've spent 27 years on this earth not getting a Yahtzee.
Yeah,
I've never played Yahtzee.
It's good. It's good. There's a lot of people playing it. I mean, how many copies do you think Yahtzee sold?
How many copies do you think still have all the pieces?
Yeah, but I mean, there's at least... Okay, what are we saying? I mean, so 50% chance in a game that Yahtzee happens. There's at least 2 games of Yahtzee being played on Earth every day. Yes? At least. Bare minimum.
Yeah,
so therefore,
I mean, I think there's got to be... It's such a weird way to think of time, but I feel like there has not been a day without a Yahtzee, I don't think.
No.
Until the sun explodes and Sarah's just like...
what if the Yahtzee players go into robots and then they play Yahtzee every day till the end of the universe?
And that's the last word Sarah says before her robot mind goes wild. It's just Yahtzee. Were you trying to do math there, Wade?
I'm trying to read about the stats on Yahtzee, but it's not. There's too much.
On Yahtzee,
stats on Yahtzee.
I think there's been a Yahtzee every day. Let's see. Jordan Brown says, hey, everybody. I finally had a free weekend this past weekend and naturally used that time to play through Dino Crisis and Alone in the Dark 4 on PS1 and had an absolute blast. For some reason, PlayStation 1 era survival horror games are some of the best comfort games for me. I was wondering, is there a genre or game that you feel comfortable playing and instantly puts you in a good mood?
Pokemon Stadium Kids Club.
So all those mini games?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Ekans toss, the fling thing, the lick-a-tongue in the sushi shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like get, wait for life to come for you. Feel depressed, put it on, tell me you still feel sad. You won't.
It is good. It is good.
It just washes away everything. The only con is that when you're setting it up, it is very clear that you're having a mental breakdown because it's 2021. Mm-hmm. But just push through that, play it. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Do you think Mario Party gives you similar vibes in any way?
Not really, I don't think. I mean, it's fun, but I've Mario Partied so much. And there's been so many whack Mario Parties that at this point, like even them putting out that collection, I'm like, you're clearly dropping this because you're too washed to make a good Mario Party game. Because that hasn't happened in a long time. Yeah, so, I'll probably give you my $60 or $50, but I'm going to wait for a little bit. I'm going to make you wait for it. So that's where we're at. I
like this idea of, you come from a long history of partying hard with Mario Party. Mario partied hard and put away wet. You can't handle any more of this stuff.
I hate that sentence so much.
Yeah, I regret saying that immediately.
Yeah.
I think RTS games for me, they put me in a good mood. It's a nice calming, soothing thing. If you're not too worried about some intense multiplayer match or something. But just that perspective.
There's with StarCraft too, there's a lot of great custom games that people have made in the arcade mode. And I like the Direct Strike one, which is just it's just waves of enemies going at each other. Mm-hmm. And all you have to do is decide where you want to place your units and purchasing them and stuff. It's very, very relaxing game.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, mine is probably The Sims.
Ooh,
although
excellent.
I do need to clear my calendar for the next 3 days when I start The Sims, because it's dangerous. Once you start playing The Sims, you don't just stop.
Yeah.
And walk away.
Right.
So I definitely, now that I'm older, I'm I don't know if I've got 3 days to just spare on playing The Sims. But I've been playing it. I think it's probably the longest running game I've ever played. The Sims, The Sims 2, Sims 3, Sims 4, all the expansion packs.
Oh my God.
Definitely the longest running series I've stuck with.
Wow. By the way, we should probably put The Sims in New Show Plus for a poll at some point in the future. Whenever you have 3 days to set aside for a 3 day stream.
Yeah, whenever I set aside 3 days.
That's right. Tactical Dreamer writes in and says Forza Horizon 5 is an amazing game. Correct. However, it does nothing that dozens of racing games before it have not already done, especially the previous Forza Horizon games. Despite this, it is one of the most well-received games critically all year. On the other side of the fence, games like Far Cry 6 are thrown under the bus for being formulaic. Why do you think racing games get a pass in this regard? I think this is an excellent question.
Far Cry's formula isn't as good as Forza Horizon's formula. It's also way more overdone than Far Cry's formula. And especially if you count not just Far Cry itself, but if you look at it in the wider context of all Ubisoft games, whenever I make any comment on Far Cry, everyone's like, you could say this for all Ubisoft games, which it's not a bad reply to give to me, but like it's such a tired response that I'm like, you're not really engaging with anything I have to say, but that's fine. But yeah, like I think that's the end and short of it, like the long and short of it. Like it's just the truth is like parts of, and I liked Far Cry 6 overall, but parts of it, there are plenty of ways to critique and analyze that in a negative way, while Forza Horizon, like there's still criticisms for it, sure, but I think the base formula is sound and the gameplay is of really high and unique quality. No one else is operating in the part sim, part arcadey space the way Forza is. Like it dominates that space. It's like how, and then also I think how often it comes out too. Like Far Cry comes out just often enough, but it's also not an annualized thing. So like all of these reasons and more are why one gets away with it and one doesn't.
Thank you, Janet, because I was racking my brain reading this question. I'm like, God, I don't know if I can come up with an answer, but I think you're right. It's just that since 2012, Far Cry 3 in particular, kind of the open world Far Cry-ification of just so many games has happened that just those feelings of the mechanics of taking out outposts we've just done so many times. Whereas how often are we playing open world racing games? One every 3 years, realistically, every 2 years, maybe if you're a nut, you know? So yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you, Janet, for being so smart. Swiggity Swoo writes in and says, how do you psych yourself up to do a stream or podcast? Does everybody need to be psyched up? Is that the way it works? I don't know. I found I would meditate for 10 minutes before doing like the deepest dive or the podcast. I did that for like over a year, but then I've noticed that if I exercise in the morning, I don't need to do that as much. I don't know, I'm less anxious about podcasting that day. So yeah, I don't really, I think just going live, there's a natural adrenaline that happens where that you don't need to psych yourself up. I don't think. Am I nuts?
Yeah. No, I agree. It is sort of like once, like a Game Informer, once the lights are on,
right,
cameras are on, there's like that sort of energy that kind of clicks. Although one thing that does help me, a big Chipotle burrito.
Ooh.
Oh, are you serious?
You gotta go to sleep. Wade would have like
the opposite effect.
He would have like 4 Chipotle burritos a day. He was a nut.
Had that card and everything.
I better believe it. And the parking always sucked there. It just, I don't know how you did that.
It was rough. It was rough.
That was terrible. I don't know.
You gotta sneak in right when someone leaves.
Sarah and Janet, do you feel like you need to psych yourself up to create hot content?
Usually I'll just drink a ton of coffee and that really does it for me. I used to get really nervous before streaming and before podcasting, like super nervous.
Yeah.
But then after just doing it like constantly every day, sometimes multiple times a day, it's just not there anymore.
Yeah, there's like I'm still, a little nervous every once in a while doing stuff. Like the last time I did Kind of Funny Games Daily, Janet, not your episode, but I guess the episode before that, I was really, really nervous. And then I was like, okay, I just need to meditate for like 20 minutes to try and like reset things, and it ended up being fine. But I think at a certain point, after doing this for so long, you realize that like there's no falling off the net, because what does that falling even look like? Like I stumble over my words all the time. It's like worst case scenario, I acknowledge, boy, I really stumbled over my words there. It's like that really feels like about it. So at a certain point, there's a little bit of comfort just in knowing that nothing can really go wrong. Even like Janet, you were a special celebrity fill-in guest co-host for this episode of Trivia Tower. And it was like, and your internet connection was abysmal. And it was like barely functioning. And it was like, well, this is maybe bad for viewers, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? This is still totally fine. Even with...
Yeah. I think stuff like that, it was funny because you were like, okay, here, I sent you a million things like that, and you're gonna have to read a lot of this. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't know. I've done enough stuff where I've had to read things where, like, I think listeners and viewers would be shocked at how many shows that they consume where the people that are reading this thing have never read this sentence before in their life. And are just like... even with like, for Games Daily, I do usually read sort of through the news story because usually I'm trimming out pieces or condensing parts or looking if I need additional information. There's like all this back end stuff. But on the whole, like I'm not reading all those news stories 12 times before the show starts. Like I'm just going to read it. And I'm like, I hope it comes out okay. And it does because you get used to doing it. Though I do think it's an impressive skill that like we've all acquired to be able to constantly be the kid who's reading aloud in class, because usually when you read aloud in class you're horrible at it, and like, we do that all the time here, so go us.
I still stumble over most of these words in the community questions, but I hear you. Angelo Gamara writes in and says, hey everyone, As a slow sleeper, I like that terminology. As a slow sleeper, one night I spent my 30 to 45 minutes thinking about how the sleep status ailment is so much easier to inflict in video games than in real life. This might be a little dark, but here's a thought exercise, which is my favorite thought exercise. Try ranking these status ailments by how difficult they would be to inflict on someone in real life. So, sleep, poison, burn, confusion, paralysis, frozen, mute, blind, charm, slow, and haste.
Well, some of those are straight up illegal in certain situations.
This is game on. This is post-apocalyptic. There are no rules. What's that, Janet?
What's haste again?
Haste is like speeding people up. So that's like, to inflict haste on somebody, you'd have to, throw a cappuccino in their mouth? Like, no.
I think haste would probably be the hardest then. Because you can freeze people, you can burn people. I don't know what the other ones were.
Yeah, paralysis, it's like, I guess you could paralyze somebody, so that seems technically...
Yeah, I mean, it's dark, but you could do it.
You could do it. Charm, is it, honestly, Wade, I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time. Is it technically easier to paralyze somebody or to charm them?
No, I think freeze is the hardest, because, like, you have to freeze them solid, completely. Like, how the hell are you going to do that?
Yeah, we're talking shining level. Yeah. That's true, Sarah. That is a lifetime. Yeah, I think that might poison. That's a piece of cake. I mean, Putin's doing it every day. It doesn't seem like a biggie.
Just find some berries in the woods. Yeah.
Right. Mute is interesting. I don't know how that would work.
Voice box. Just get rid of that.
So you'd like stab someone.
Seems hard.
This is disgusting.
You could just put duct tape over their mouth.
That's true. That's way easier.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Are you happy, Angelo? You sicko. There you go. There's your big ranking. Okay. Wade, what do you like for question of the week?
It's got to be robot brain.
Robot brain.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. All right.
That birds discussion that we.
Yeah.
You're right.
This is just going to encourage people.
Yep.
Send in more existential questions.
We'll take them all. That is Andrew Molnar. There we go. Congratulations, Andrew. I Am 8-Bit will ship out that vinyl soundtrack to Spinch. I will reach out to you and get your email address, and we'll ship it out. Thank you so much. By the way, people in the Backstage Pass, Leafy on here, Janet, says that episode of Trivia Tower is still slapped, though. So...
It wasn't. People seem like they're like, "Oh, this episode was great," and I'm like, my cat showed up, so I feel like that saved it.
Right.
I have no internet connection, but I do have this cat.
That's
so
right. That's right.
You go.
People seemed happy with the questions for sure. So thanks for all the kind words and the help sharing Trivia Tower with a friend. Now it's time for something that we like to call "Get a Load of This." Okay, Wade. I know you're on the spot. Do you have something that we should get a load of?
Yeah. So, excuse me. Do you guys remember the movie Gravity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie where these astronauts are on a space shuttle, and then the Russians launch a missile to destroy one of their satellites, creates this debris field, and ends up destroying all these space stations. I remember at the time people saying, okay, well, it's not really that possible because the satellites in the ISS are at different altitudes and this and this. Article today in USA Today, actually it's everywhere, the Russians blew up one of their satellites and now is posing a threat to the ISS. They put the astronauts in one of the escape pods as like a precautionary thing. Yeah.
Wait, so he's just they're just sitting in the escape pod waiting?
They were for a few hours, yeah, as a precaution. And now the US is pissed, like, Russia, like, what the hell are you doing? You can't just blow up your satellites and have these debris fields around Earth.
Oh my God. But we'd get a cool ring if enough people blew up enough, wouldn't it? Like, that does seem pretty sweet. See, Sarah, you don't want to be out there as a robot. You're going to get hit by all this stuff.
I'm an immortal robot. What is the debris field? It's like, what is that? That's like 10 minutes of my immortal life. I might get smacked in the face with something.
And what if you're magnetic? It all sticks to you then?
Right. That is messy.
Then I become an asteroid, destroyer of worlds. It would all be an interesting day.
That's true. There's links below for all these stories. Hey, everybody, get a load of this. John Ricciardi, former coworker of Sarah Pozorski over there at 8-4, that makes her laugh. Just the idea of it. By the way, I don't know if you heard, Sarah, they had their 300th episode not too long ago.
I saw that.
And they thanked you, and they shared some nice stories of you being on that podcast and stuff. What? It was very nice. Yeah, totally. And they said that they wanted to have a special guest. And I was like, oh, Sarah should have been on this episode, but that's fine. Okay, so John Ricciardi tweeted, hey, if you're not listening to the original Metroid and Super Mario Land and Earthbound composer Chip Tanaka's new album, Domani, that just dropped today, it's not too late to fix things. Here's a whole bunch of links. And Hip Tanaka, otherwise known as Chip Tanaka, who, created these incredible NES soundtracks. particularly that Super Mario Land soundtrack is so unbelievable. He released his third standalone album today called Domani. There's a link below if you want to check it out, but it's just awesome that he's still out there making ship music. So enjoy, everybody. Janet, did you have something good?
Yeah, get a load of this. The Lakers Stadium Staples Center is getting renamed on Christmas Day moving forward to Crypto.com Arena.
Shut
That's
up.
A new name.
Shut up.
Yes, this is real life. This is the real new name of it. Which I feel like it could have been worse. Like it could have been like NFT Stadium or something.
Boy,
but
that's rough.
It's the .com for me.
Yeah, the .com is really rough to. I think some people are going to try to like, Tales from the Crypt, or like try to rebrand it, as a fan. But yeah, it's pretty rough. So there we go. There's that. So
wow, what a mess. Sarah.
Get a load of this. Believe it, everybody. Naruto is now in Fortnite.
No.
A bunch of Naruto skins are now unleashed in Fortnite. We've got Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi are now available to play in Fortnite. They're really cool. They look like cel shaded and stuff. But I'm just seeing all these crazy screenshots of like Ariana Grande holding Sasuke at gunpoint, saying she's going to end the Uchiha clan. And then we have like Rick from Rick and Morty like carrying Naruto on his back, and it's just
God.
Fortnite is off the rails with these integrations.
Yeah, maybe the metaverse is cool, everybody. Hey, get a load of this from the community. We have a whole channel in our Discord, which you get access to if you support us on Patreon, where all these are shared every single day. Nick from Atlanta shared one, which is the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account tweeted out, coming to Monster Hunter Rise on November 26th. Sarah, did you see this trailer for this Sonic crossover?
Of course I saw the trailer.
It is absurd. It starts out, Wade, with just a shot from Monster Hunter World, and then it says Capcom Presents, as then it starts blasting Speed of Sound from Sonic Adventure, this classic song. And then
yes.
It is like, I feel like at this point we should be numb to Sonic crossovers because they're in everything. But just the audacity of how ugly and stupid this one is, it is like another level of Sonic crossovers. So I hope...
It does feel weird, because like at least when you cross over Sonic with Mario, the art styles are kind of that same cartoony vibe. When you cross it over into Monster Hunter...
Right.
It's not quite the same, so yeah.
They've thrown it all out the window. Yeah, it's just silly for the sake of silly at this point. All right. Thanks, everybody. Wade, thank you for being here.
Thank you. And by the way, I forgot I didn't say good load of this. Biggest mistake I could have made. You're
blown it. You're actually... Jeffem's rolling in his grave right now. Wade, what do you want to plug, man?
God, you know what? You've asked me this a couple times when I've been on. All I can say is stay tuned to patreon.com/MinnMax2Ns.
Oh, please. Look, you don't have to do that. What about your Twitter account? Anything, Wade. Just throw it out there.
I mean, I guess, at Wade Wojcik, Wojcik, but I don't know. Who cares? It's Twitter. More importantly, patreon.com.
Jesus, Wade. All right, thank you. I promise I didn't prep him ahead of time, I swear. Janet, will you tell this man how to plug something?
Sure. You can follow me at Twitter at GameOnysus. I'm everywhere on the internet at GameOnysus. That's GameOnysus. So yeah, check out my work there.
Sweet. Sarah, what do you got going on?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at SarahPods.
From the best.
Nowhere else. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go.
I don't know why you sounded so sad when you said that. It's like you're just realizing your life or something. Hey, you can follow MinnMax on Instagram. By the way, congratulations. This is from Brian Vore, our social media guru. He said, congrats to Sam Worms for winning our Twitter giveaway for a custom designed Fixture S1. So there's a contest where they can make a custom Fixture S1 and put any image on it. And so we had a contest that whoever responded to this tweet on MinnMax's Twitter account with an idea for what to put on the custom skin, whichever one got the most likes, Fixture would make. And he suggested making a Thanksgiving-themed Fixture S1 with like cranberries and turkey on it and stuff. So that's going to be given away. Congratulations to Sam Werner. Also, Brian Vore wanted folks to know that this week we're teaming up with the Konami Shop, their merch store, to give away a Christmas sweater of the winner's choosing on Twitter. You'll be able to select from awesome designs featuring Metal Gear, Castlevania, or Silent Hill. You can check out the pinned tweet on MinnMax's Twitter account if you're interested in that. So we've been giving a lot of stuff away, so please check that out. Also, just a heads up for folks, next week, we will be doing our big 100 Things to Be Thankful For, which should be a good time. We'll release the podcast version of that as well as a Patreon exclusive. Also, because we hit our goal on Patreon, we are going to be creating 3 new episodes of House Hunter Rise, which is our most popular new show plus show where we just look at absurd Zillow listings. It's been a really good time, so we're going to be making 3 new episodes starting on November 22nd. So if you're a Patreon supporter, we will be collecting Zillow links, just everybody's Zillow links, and then we'll be going on 3D tours of these houses along with folks on Twitch. So please follow us on Twitch and get ready for that. All right, we have a bunch of people to thank that are in the $50 thank you crew. Let's see, Wade, maybe to make this more interesting, I'm going to read all these names for $50 supporters. And if people out there want to have their names read, they can support us at the $50 tier. How about you thank all these people after I say the name? So kind of like, the America F yeah thing from Team America, but you got to do it fast. You know what I mean? Do you get the rhythm that I have in mind?
From the song from Team America?
Yeah. Okay.
All I remember is the phrase "America F yeah" coming again to save the mother effing day.
Okay, yeah, but just say thank you. The point is fast after all these names. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. DivergeCoffee.com.
DivergeCoffee.com. Thank you.
You can just say thank you. Andrew Uerkwitz.
Thank you.
Opposwitch on Xbox.
Thank you.
Chris. Shakes True King Music. Keep rolling, Wade.
Thank you.
Fixture Gaming's Fixture S1.
Thank you.
I am 8-bit.
Thank you.
Ludwig Roque.
Thank you.
Zachary Pligge.
Thank you.
Andrew Vala.
Thank you.
BeatenDownBrian.
Thank you.
PrettyGoodPrinting.com.
Thank you.
Jawarhello.
Thank you.
45 more, Wade. Mirko Arico-Torreno.
Thank you.
Mark Seliga.
Thank you.
John Higby.
Thank you.
Call Me By Your Game podcast.
Thank you.
Drew Waranis.
Thank
Dan
you.
Villone.
Thank you.
Starkiller.
Thank you.
Ted Ryser.
Thank you.
Clemens Zobel.
Thank you.
Steve Bamdad.
Thank you.
Purebred number 6.
Thank you.
Spider Dan.
Thank you.
Preetham Yarlagadda.
Thank you.
Spiral in Your Eyes.
Thank you.
General Nadine 99.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Wade. Thanks, everybody, for sharing the show, for watching, listening to the show. All right, and Backstage Pass says you're a real trooper, Wade, so congratulations. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Be good, have fun, let's go.